What time is it?
Tonight, the revolution begins. I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war. We are the Bullet Club. I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive. One by one, they will all follow me. Bada boom, realest guys in a room. How you know? Feed me more.
Banks a win tonight on Raw against Paige. However, kind of debatable because from the vantage point of the folks I was watching it with, it was both pairs of shoulders down at the same time. So,
Hold on. Ooh, girl. You want to get this? Deal with this. I got you. From our viewpoint, we were good. The bell rang ding. The ref counted 1, 2, 3. Sasha's music played, and she was the winner. So from our viewpoint, I don't know. I think she legit won.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the match.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
All right, this is Wrestling Max episode 160.
Man, and here we are once again excited about a lot of things that are coming up this week in wrestling, and we're excited about talking about the things that happened this past week in wrestling, and we got a bunch of information for you guys. This week in Quick Hits, we're going to be talking about Kana's new name. That's right, WWE's already got her a brand new name for you to enjoy, so we'll be talking about that. Plus, WWE is asking their fans if they want us to change those pay-per-view time and schedule. So, maybe Sunday night you'll be watching it a lot earlier, or maybe it'll stay the same. I don't know. It's probably up to the fans a little bit here. So they're going to, give out those questionnaires, and you fans will be answering them, and we'll find out. So we'll discuss that in Quick Hits and a lot more big, important news. Plus, guys, we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw with Sting playing the part of a Joker once again. And then we jump into some NXT where we get the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament going full force. We're looking forward to talking about that for sure. Then we are going to go ahead and get into Ring of Honor as well, guys. They had some big matches. Actually, defending titles quite a bit on this show, so we can't wait to talk about Jay Lethal defending his title. Plus, we get the tag team champions, The Addiction, also defending their titles as well. So you got a lot of title shots in that. Plus, we are going to talk some TNA, where another set of titles are also defended as well. So a lot of great stuff in the reviews. We also have a special topic we're excited about talking about. You just heard me talk about TNA and ROH defending titles. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about, does championship shows matter? That's right. We've got Night of Champions coming up pretty soon here, and Ring of Honor is already doing theirs. So look at this and kind of think about it, because it's very interesting. Does it actually matter to the fans? Does it get numbers? We'll discuss all that later on. But man, guys, I'm excited about this show. We got a lot to talk about. Before we do, though, I've got to talk about the biggest thing of the week, and of course, the NFL. It's hot. It's heavy. We got our kickoff game on Thursday night, watching the Patriots take down the Steelers. And I just got to know about how you guys did in fantasy, because, of course, if you play in our W2M league, you know that this week has been pretty crazy just by that Thursday night game alone, not including those Sunday night games we got kind of here. How did you fare, Paul, this week in your W2M league?
W2M, I'm already getting my butt kicked. I'm down 23-0, but I haven't had anybody play yet. So, but Josh is killing me. He had Roethlisberger. I think his kicker played too. So, but I have Tom Brady in a keeper league, and I was hesitant to keep him after it came out that he was innocent and he was going to play. But I'm laughing my way to the bank right now. So,
yeah, and Paul, I traded in one of our leagues Tom Brady because I just don't know if I'm the biggest Tom Brady guy. But after that game, I was like, man, did I make the wrong decision? I don't think so. I still stand by my decision. But yeah, I'm right there with you. You just never know what's going to happen with Tom Brady. How about you, Sean, man? How'd your week go?
Well, in one league, I'm up by, I think, like 19 or something like that. In the WTM league, I think I'm winning. I'm beating Patrick right now with like 18 points because of, oh man, why am I doing this right now? Why I can't remember who I had with Antonio Brown. And then I'm getting absolutely spanked because Randall had Roethlisberger Brady and Gronk combination in the F2F league. So I'm pretty much done for that league, I'm sure, for this week. But hey, before we stop doing this, just a cheap plug. Gary and I broke down this game and talked about all the other games that are happening this week on our Football to Football show that we did last night. So that's also the reason why we're doing this show a day later. So negative and positive out of that. But, if we're going to keep it on fantasy, man, Gronk and Brady gave up, they filled up everybody's fantasy after watching that.
Oh, yeah. And you can't forget Antonio Brown. He definitely helped out some. And D'Angelo Williams also picked up a lot of points for guys who needed to use him. Maybe they're struggling. Now they're not so struggling because D'Angelo Williams did a pretty darn good job. And right now, my team is losing 10-0, and that's okay. Landon, you have a great shot at beating me, but I'm expecting, at least it's right there and within reach for me to still have a victory this week. So I'm looking forward to that. But you know what? This is all fun and games, and we like to have a blast. But man, in the regular W2M league, this is a year-long league. We're all stuck with pretty much the same players unless you're able to luckily get a guy off the waiver wire. Maybe you make a trade or two like I've done. But besides that, you're pretty much stuck with your guys. But man, Paul, I know you have a way that you can, get new guys on a daily basis and maybe make a little bit of money off it.
Yeah, Gary, your season-long fantasy football lineup is locked in. It's ready for action, but you don't have to wait till week 16 to get paid. You can put your fantasy skills to the test starting this Sunday at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site where you could kick the season off by winning $2 million. There's $10 million in prizes that are up for grabs, including $2 million for first place, easy enough for me to say, and $1 million for second. There are no season-long commitments, so you're never stuck with the same guys week in and week out, so it's pretty much a new season for you every week. So hurry to DraftKings.com now and use the promo code SPREAKER to play for free for a shot at part of the $10 million in Sunday's Millionaire Maker event. Once again, enter Spreaker for free entry now only at DraftKings.com.
All right. Yeah, and everybody, make sure you do enter that code in, and it is SPREAKER, just to make sure we get that clear and ready for you guys to enter that code in. You want to go to DraftKings.com, and you want to have a blast playing these daily games. I know I'm excited about doing it myself. So, well, guys, man, I am so excited about talking about a lot of this news. We have a ton of quick hits this week, so why don't we go ahead and get into it? We'll be right back with some quick hits.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right, everybody. Well, we were going to, talk a little TNA news, but I'm going to save some big TNA news until we actually talk about TNA. I'm going to let you guys know, though, there is a former big talent of TNA that is supposedly making a return. Who is it? We'll discuss it when we talk TNA. But for now, we want to go ahead and talk about something else that's big and that's going on right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that Kana has her new name in NXT, which is Asuka. Right? Am I saying that right, Paul? Asuka? I don't know how to say
it. It's
Asuka. There you go. So that's great news for her. I don't think it's too bad of a name, and so we'll have to get used to it because I think a lot of you fans that have actually seen her in action, kind of are used to the Kana name. And of course, we got some other things going on within the Divas division, and we're going to get a chance to see a few new Divas. We also have a big news story with a Diva that we haven't really seen. Her name is Jasmine, and she is Indian, but apparently she has some past tweets and some social media that has been out there that someone found, and it had some racist remarks. The WWE, of course, after everything that's been going on, especially with the incident with Schreiber, I forgot her name already. They are definitely, Zahara Schreiber. I always forget her name. But the situation being as they had her problem, so they had to fire her. Would they have to fire Jasmine? Apparently, the tweets and the different social media things that she had been putting out were not actually her fault. They found out that those were hacks, and so she is free and clear, and she can continue her journey in NXT. But, it looks like WB is serious about this, guys. They are really digging in deep, looking in social media. I'm sure they're looking in family history. Every part of your life now, it's almost like they have to be a private investigator just to make sure that they are safe and clear from talent having negative issues on their company. Paul, is this extreme or is this a necessary?
WWE isn't the only job I know that does this. I know there are corporations out there that check your Facebook stuff now. They want to know your Facebook name so they can go and look through everything and make sure you don't have anything terrible or incriminating or anything like that on them, because it'll reflect poorly on them. And I think it's just a way that the internet's sort of grown into our daily lives and sort of taken over how companies do business. Because now companies want a big social media presence, so that way they can get their name out there and all that stuff. So you don't want people associated with your company on social media with bad stuff. So, I get it. It's a little overboard at times. And it's not just in WWE. I'm sure other jobs have gone way overboard, too. We just don't have any stories of it. But just a necessary evil, almost, I think is what I would say.
Yeah, when I started and we've had to redo the handbook a few times since I've been there for like 3 years now. One of the big things that they stressed with us, and they made me sign a special sheet actually at one point, I think it was like a year ago, that stated that we're not allowed to badmouth the company on social media. If we do, they have the right to terminate us, which I didn't run the risk, but I did say something about the way I didn't like the fact that they had me go home one day and I got reprimanded. So, that's certainly something that, they pay attention to now, because especially when I think Kmart, something Kmart did which wasn't that great. They had to go back and sell something to somebody. It was something bad that they did. Anyway, it got out on social media. They were not happy about it. We had suits and sitting here talking to us, telling people, do not talk about that. Please do not put that on your social media. We don't want that getting out, or people that work in the company talking about it. So, it's not just WWE. It's that WWE has now decided that they're not just going to skim over your social media. They're going to go deep into it and make sure you're not. And let's be honest here. The thing is, it's fans, it's other people bringing this crap up. It's like, honestly, like, do people, I guess, the thing is, the internet's so big, you have people who have nothing else to do but skim through people's Instagrams and Twitters and whatever and try to go find something bad that they did. At this point, honestly, who remembers what the hell they said when they're 16 years old? Do you? Does anybody? No. I know I don't. So, it's just one of those things, like, I'm glad WWE had a smart, they had the brain trust come and talk and understood, like, hello, we can't fire this girl for something she said she was 16 years old. That's just stupid. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's people like Greg DeMarco who's upset because, he still thinks that Schreiber should be here. But here's the difference. That girl was smart enough to understand, I'm not going to say anything to anybody. Let WWE handle this. Schreiber decided, let me go defend myself to everybody. And then I'm also going to look like a total ass every time I say something, and I'm going to defend all the stupid crap that I posted and said. Same thing with Hogan. He doesn't defend himself, but he won't just go away. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're not helping yourself, dude. Just go away. First time I've agreed with Jim Ross in a while. Just stay the hell off Twitter.
Yeah, it's the truth. And, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of celebrities, athletes, anybody in the limelight not actually using their social media. They have a liaison. They have someone who sits beside them and they say, okay, what would you like to say? And they'd pass it by. This is what I want to say, what I get across. That's not such a good idea. I think you're thinking of it, this way. We need to reword it. They kind of go back and forth, so it's nothing negative. They can kind of view the pictures that they put. There's just an editing format that when it comes to celebrities now, and they have to because of these exact reasons. And thank God I'm old enough that I don't have to worry about when I was 16 being a problem, because I wasn't on Facebook when I was 16. There wasn't a Facebook.
There wasn't, yeah, exactly.
So I'm safe and clear now. MySpace, I probably still have it. I don't know. That worries me. But anyway, I want to welcome the caller.
Delete your MySpace? When you stopped
No, I'm sure it's still there. If they may have deleted it for me. I'm sure they have. So, I want to welcome a caller onto the show. Glenn Smith has called in. Man, we want to say hello. And what did you called in to talk about?
Hey, yo.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Yeah, I tried to get as throaty as Scott Hall does, but hey, whatever, man. But I'm doing all right, man.
You did the Cody Hall version. You're good.
There you go.
Well, it was a hall. Better than being called a hole.
Exactly. Say, Glenn. You got it right.
I will not
We've started
mention...
off the bad jokes already.
Oh, yes. Jokes, the bad jokes for days. But, I'm mainly here because I want to talk about I'll let you guys kind of finish wrapping up this thing before getting on to the new topic.
You want to talk? Which topic?
Well, go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about. We can get back to whatever it was.
Yeah, we can get back.
All right. Well, to be honest, I really want to call to talk about this really revolutionary thing that's going to be happening at NXT come October. We will see the first ever live special main evented by the women. I'm going to say that this is probably, I know everybody talks about the Divas Revolution on Raw. This is bigger than that. I think this is what the Divas Revolution is about. Giving them the respect they deserve and giving them the opportunity and chance to have that 30-minute match to show that they are able to compete with these main event type matches, like the matches with John Cena and Kevin Owens, or any other big main event match that you can think of in recent memory. Those go 30 minutes, sometimes longer. But this is going to be an absolute marvelous opportunity in allowing the women to shine.
Mm-hmm. And if anybody doesn't know what match that Glenn is speaking of, in October, the next takeover that's going to be taking place, and the main event
sold out, by the way.
Yeah, it's amazing. The takeover is already sold out, and it's not even October yet. But this is going to be a main event Iron Woman match between Bayley and Sasha Banks, and so this is going to be a really great match, like Glenn's already speaking of. And I want to get your thoughts on that. What Glenn's talking about here, Paul. Do you think this is just a continuation of the Revolution?
I think the Revolution started in NXT. This is probably the tipping point here because you saw the reaction they got in Brooklyn. This is the takeover that's in London, if I remember correctly, right, guys?
This is the one before London.
Yeah, December is London.
Okay. At any rate, wherever it's going to be, the place is going to be loud, especially with Bayley, and I'm sure whatever Sasha Banks has been doing by that time isn't going to slow her down any. So it should be a match that tears the house down. I really can't wait to see it.
I'm thinking
this is going to be a huge deal. When I posted the tweet from Triple H, it's a landmark moment for WWE Women's Wrestling or the Divas or whatever. WWE is really going to have to do a whole lot to top that. See, that's what's so funny about this Revolution thing to me, is you're consistently allowing your developmental to completely trash you as to how you're doing this on the main roster. And they're starting to get there now with the Charlotte and Nikki thing on Raw next week, but it's just, Man, if I was Vince, I'd be wanting to like try to one up whatever they're doing on NXT. It seems like he doesn't give a crap that NXT is blowing him out of the water with the way they're doing the Divas. It's crazy to me.
In fact, I think personally, Vince is trying to inflict his thought process of the Divas into NXT with Eva Marie. I'm sure he would all interject more when we get this big, Diva search going on.
Yeah.
Wait, they're still actually considering that Diva search thing?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I thought that was just a bad joke somebody said.
I mean, there's nothing that says. I mean, it's not like every single indie women's wrestler is ugly or something. I mean, they can find indie women's wrestlers that are hot that could go with the models, and you can have a mixed bag in there. I mean,
it's not about that. It's just the fact that given kind of the reputation of like past Diva searches, it hasn't been about the wrestling per se. It's been all about the looks.
To me, I don't care when we got some pretty decent ones. We got Candice Michelle, Layla, Eve Torres. We got some pretty bad ones too, but we got ones that actually tried eventually and wound up being pretty good.
I think Ashley was one too.
Well,
Yeah.
And how many of them had a previous wrestling experience?
It doesn't matter. You can what has NXT shown you? You can be taught and learn. It's your aptitude to wanting to learn.
Okay, that's true, but like I was mainly going at from the standpoint of like this isn't the search to find like the wrestler per se. It's them trying to find the next beauty.
Right. But the Divas have always been a mix of beauty and wrestling. So
While Sean eats.
while I eat my sandwich, damn it.
All right, I was it actually sounded more like you were eating an Oreo.
I thought an orange. That was my best guess.
Well, you know what? When you don't have any food in your house and this is the only thing you can eat, whatever.
I love it. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
But continue, Glenn. Well, I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from on this. To me, when I see the word Diva Search, I see them going more for what Jim Ross said that Vince told him to do. I want 10s. And that scares me because I think, is this Vince repeating history? Are we going to see him saying the same thing? I want 10s. I don't care if they have any wrestling background at all or if they even know what the word wrestling means. As long as they come in the door and people are like falling over, that's what I want. That's what scares me.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's my biggest concern is that that the talent crop of this Diva Search is going to be all about looks rather than like actually being a fan. Mm-hmm. That's personally how I feel.
I mean, there's plenty of girls that came out of Diva Search I think that were fine wrestlers. Michelle McCool, Layla for a while was quite good.
Oh yeah.
Probably one of the best to come out of that. I think you could make an argument for Eve at points where she wasn't awful. And the other girls I think at least gave it a go, which is all you can really ask for, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with Diva Search. There's been some times where it just shouldn't have been on Raw. Like, it was just a complete waste of space. But, I mean, the idea behind it is sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you on that,
As
too.
a network show, it's perfect.
Yes.
Wait, so did they officially announce it as a network show?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm glad that's not going to be a tough.
I'm sure they will show up on Raw at some point.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably do it the same way they worked in Tough Enough, right? You'll have the guys show up every once in a while and whatever. Or girls, excuse me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting. It really is. And I just think that, that we're going to see something that's maybe not the same as the past Diva Search. It may be similar, but you're going to have a lot more exposure because of the network. You're going to have a lot more story with it. And I think definitely you're probably going to see, some talent come out that, like these two guys just said, it wasn't all bad. There was some talent that came in, learned the craft, and were able to do it and do a great job. So, I mean, from, what we saw out of even Tori Wilson, she claims now that she would have never done NXT, but the Diva search and those kind of things were things that she's interested in, and she'd come and be a part of the company. And you would not have some of these talent if you didn't have a Diva search. If you just told them NXT, there's a lot of chances that some of these ladies wouldn't show up. So, is there anything else you wanted to speak on this, Glenn?
Yeah. Well, wait, on this subject or different? On
this subject.
No, yeah, I'm out.
Okay. I mean, did you have anything? I mean, you're more than welcome to bring up something else. And we're going to stay on this subject, but if you have a quick thing you want to say, you're more than welcome to.
Move on from me. I'm toast.
Okay, buddy. Well, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for calling in, Glenn. And,
what he meant was that he didn't have anything else to add on the subject. I think you had one more thing you wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
okay, bring it up.
I'll save that for a little bit later.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because we gotta
right,
move the thing on.
All right, sorry about that. My final thing I really wanted to talk about was just the security that WWE had, the issues with security that they've been having recently. I mean, I know with that fan attempting to quote unquote stab Dean Ambrose, still it's at the alleged marks, but it's still, but to be honest, my biggest concern is the fact that with the whole issue with the guy on Monday that kind of chimed in on Rollins' entrance, if anybody caught that.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a picture of it in our Facebook group, too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, WWE really needs to start thinking more about the talent, because easily, if security didn't take care of these guys as fast as they did, I can't imagine what could have possibly happened. I mean, we could be talking today about how Seth Rollins was murdered on live television, etc., etc. But I mean, that's kind of a big concern that WWE really needs to think about getting back into, is protecting the talent as they come in and out of the arena. I mean, I know when I was at Battleground, and when it came time for Roman Reigns' entrance, is that after I made my way to the area where I guess that he would be coming down from, they had some event staffers come down and say, "Hey, don't go in the aisle. If you do, we will have to forcibly eject you, just so that nobody completely interfered in the entrance of Reigns." And so nobody decided to do anything foolish, but you still had that opportunity that even if nobody did that, and while he was doing the fist bumps, somebody could easily get them and maim, injure, whatever you want to call it. It's got some bad consequences to it. So I mean, WWE really needs to start trying to at least beef up their security just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, and I definitely see where you're coming from on this. And the question is how much is too much and how much is enough. Mm-hmm. I think we always hear about airports and all the things that they go through, and I don't know if WWE fans are going to be excited about coming into the show and having to take off their shoes and remove every piece of jewelry and everything when they come to the doors and all like that. That packs the doors pretty bad. But I agree, you've got to protect your talent. You've got to make sure that there's no situations like we've seen. And if there was, even a knife in the room when, Dean Ambrose was making his entrance, that's just not good. They've got to do a better job. I agree. It's I would almost say it's a catch-22 situation. What do you think?
Personally, if I could expand upon it, the level of security I'm talking about is just kind of the level that they have at professional baseball games, professional football games. You know how how at certain points, like during the middle of innings or the start of new innings, like you see the I don't know, security crew kind of make their way to field level to make sure that nobody tries getting on the field and doing anything stupid. Just kind of have something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are sporting events all over the world where idiots make their way onto the field. Wrestling is no different. It's been that way for years. First of all, the guy who tried to stab Dean, I think Dean probably wanted him to try, because Dean is nuts.
Oh,
the guy
man.
used to deathmatch wrestle. I mean, there's nothing that guy could do to him that's going to scare him.
I keep on thinking of that thing he said last year, is that like after a nuclear explosion, there'll be 3 things left standing: cockroaches, Twinkies, and Dean Ambrose.
Not wrong. But I mean, there are YouTube videos out there of just scores of people finding their way onto soccer fields or football fields or baseball fields or baskauxball courts, whatever.
That happens in like almost every soccer match.
Exactly. Yeah. So
What?
I mean,
I'm sorry. I either bad
No,
audio
Sean.
on my
I forgot
end.
I didn't have the mic back down, but yeah, I mean, almost every soccer game that I watch, especially in Europe, some dumb
man.
guy tries to get on the field.
Yeah.
It's just.
it's part of the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time they can catch him, but sometimes some idiots get through. I mean, you can go back and watch plenty of Raws where you see people find their way into the ring, or like the best example is that kid running around backstage who runs in front of Batista and
Oh yeah.
warming up. I mean, it happens.
That's
Fortunately, most of us are
one of
just
my favorite. That's
Yeah.
my favorite.
I mean, fortunately, most of us are just silly enough to do something stupid and then get tackled, thrown out of the building. But I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
mean, for every for every guy that tries to stab him, you have a lot of guys like the guy on Monday who he just wanted to be there.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. He just wanted to be there. I mean, he knew he was going to get run off, but I mean, it's whatever. It's dumb, and I like the fact that Cena had the reaction he did, where he immediately was trying to get the security to pay attention. The guy that the security did their job with Ambrose, he freaking took him down right before he could get to Ambrose. I mean, so I think it's just one of those things where no matter what you do, it's not like they're not going to pay for a whole barricade of security.
Yeah.
That's just way too much money. I mean, even if they're going to pay indie wrestlers, it's just ridiculous.
I kind of got that joke.
Yeah, when I was just making the note that they could just pay indie wrestlers to be security, but
I thought you were referring to like any time that police appear like in a wrestling
that's what
segment.
I'm saying. Yeah, most of the time it's indie wrestlers, so they could have them show up and do that. But still, even if you're paying them $100 per guy, that's a lot just to stand there the whole night.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I don't know. I'm just the type of guy that I would really not want to have some kid be next to me at a wrestling event and having to possibly see another person attack a human being with sharp object or a firearm of some sort. But I mean, that's just
Skype just hates Gary. Apparently.
Yeah, I need to update it.
All right, and kind of a last thing before I go. Yeah, the Steelers have every right to complain about Patriots cheating.
No, they don't. It was not. The league said it has nothing to do with the Patriots. Let's just
NFL goofed.
And how many times have you seen the Patriots owner with the judge that granted Brady to play week 1?
You know what? That judge could have also went against Brady, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be sitting there with Kraft. So
it also doesn't matter because the NFL is the one in charge of the headsets. It's not the Patriots.
Yeah. So
it still makes you wonder if they somehow are able to, what's the word? Sabotage
you never
the
know.
equipment.
They may have hired Mr. Robot. That's what I say. So.
Are we just going to give USA free plugs here or something?
Oh, man. Don't tell me that USA is now sponsoring this.
No, not yet.
If it was, we certainly...
I wouldn't say no.
Equipment have,
Trust me, we wouldn't be using Skype. We'd be using better equipment.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. I would be flying into Texas every day to do this show.
So, no, well, man, Glenn, we really appreciate you calling. We've got to move on. We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about, buddy, but thanks a lot for calling.
Catch y'all on the flippity flop.
Later.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, so we got, Eva Marie is, of course, apparently, once again, still considered a part of that title picture, and they're looking for maybe it being sooner than later. I mean, do you guys think that this is too soon?
Clearly. She can't kick out correctly. Send her back to Brian. I mean... Send her not anywhere near Bailey, just send her back to somebody who can teach her, hey, this is when you kick out.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, remember that you need to kick out. That's just one of those things. Like, if you can't remember the finish to your own match, I mean, something's going on there.
I mean, Acero totally nailed it in last week's episode, which you should go track down people, because it was hilarious. But
yes. Yeah, definitely go check out last week's episode and listen. That's all the Eva Marie talk you need is right there. So we'll move on to something else. Natalia.
To me, though, I think, you could see Dana Brooke isn't the best either, but the difference in quality between Dana and Eva Marie in the 2 weeks is almost glaring to me. Like, Dana had an actual passable match with the same person.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I've never had a problem with Brooke either. She's a young talent, still learning a lot. But you're right. It is night and day, Paul. Definitely, with Eva Marie. So, another diva we got to talk about is Natalia. She apparently is still wondering why she is not part of the Divas Revolution. Can you answer that question? Do you have any idea why she's not?
The only thing I can think of is that she doesn't fit the mold that they're trying to build right now, which is young talent, these new girls as fresh blood, sort of commingling with the girls that WWE thinks are the top stars. Because I think Natty's Divas title reign was, 2009, 2010 now? I mean, that's a while ago.
And we're going to talk about young talent, and Tamina needs to be nowhere near.
Right.
That Team Bad. But, if we're going to talk about Team Bad, I mean, Natty just wouldn't work. In that kind of a team. She doesn't have that. I mean, she can try to put on that attitude all she wants, but she's a heart. She can't give you that, what they want with Naomi. And I mean, Tamina's only there because she's related by law to Naomi. So I mean, it is what it is. I think Natty's also being a little passive here too. I think she could have demanded a role if she wanted, But this is a thing too. Like, I know Total Divas is scripted and whatnot, but when they bring up the whole thing with the women and their age, and the fact that Natty's certainly not been doing anything, you have to wonder. I mean, maybe they are letting her be there with her husband, but certainly, if she doesn't get put into this at some point, I think you're missing out, because if you're going to want to have the team with the wrestlers on it, then Natalia certainly fits into Team PCB depending on how long they want to do this, but I think they're ending this sooner than later. So if they were, say, having this go to Survivor Series, then Natty would be a no-brainer for me to add in to make it an 8-on-8 or something, but I think this is pretty much going to be done as soon as that Raw match happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if say Charlotte wins the title, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, Gary, but Charlotte wins the title, you could bring Natty in and have her bring up that phenomenal match they had way back a couple of years ago at NXT Takeover too, and say Natty wants another shot because she thinks she can beat her this time, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I think the same thing, and I think Natalya could definitely be a big help. I just don't understand it. Right now, they're using her for other places, other means, and maybe they have their own game plan here. I know they're like we talked about before, using young talent. I think that's the big key here. I think they're trying to find new superstars. People have seen Natalya, they know about Natalya, and I just don't know if they're excited about Natalya. And one of the, Sean just mentioned Total Divas. Well, Total Divas is going to bring in a new star, and that new star is going to be Amanda from the Tough Enough show. Wow. So we're getting a diva that is not even in the company until now, just as a person on Total Divas.
This is how Eva Marie and JoJo were brought in. So.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, once again, you got that level. How do you think this is going to work out? I mean, do you expect good things? From what you've seen in Tough Enough, and of course, just in general what we've seen from JoJo and other talents that have come in like this.
She wasn't even the winner, right?
No, she was the runner-up.
Yeah, so I mean, like, way to win the show, or not even win the show, and still find your way onto another show related to the WWE. Whatever,
She should have won.
Yeah,
she gets herself a bonus for both being on Total Divas and probably having an NXT roster contract right now. So, if I'm Sarah Lee, I'm not too happy because I won the thing. Yes, I'm probably getting paid more than a lot of people down there, but, Amanda's not going to be making nothing being on Total Divas as well. So, that's something to look out for. I think the interesting thing to me is that Naomi comes back, and then now she's suddenly replaced again. I think part of me feels like Naomi's probably just done with the show at this point. Her and Jimmy Uso don't have anything, and I'm glad they don't try to. I mean, they do try to force it a little bit sometimes, but they just don't fight. And you already have Brian and Bree that really don't fight that much. You have Cena and Nikki that have their moments, like, a lot of the first couple seasons or whatever, but it's like they don't really have anything that creates controversy for them to keep the show moving on. And they probably feel like, okay, with Amanda as somebody new, it could draw in people, and we don't know anything about her, so it's obviously going to be interesting to see what we learn about her life, through the show. So, that's an interesting thing. We get to learn about Amanda as we watch that show next season. And that's something we won't get to see in NXT, just hearing about how she's doing wrestling and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I just wonder, how it's all going to kind of lay out. Because like I said, I think Amanda should have been the winner. I think she had the more... I don't know. I think the talent level was there compared to Sarah, but who knows? We'll have to see what they know.
You have to wonder if Sarah would have got this treatment, though. So now at least they have two divas that they can mold and do what they want with now instead of just one. So.
Oh, true, and I think a lot of the male talents will be back too. I expect a lot of those guys, especially Mata. I could definitely see him being back. So
yeah, he won that poll that they had by like a freaking ridiculous margin.
Mm-hmm.
They had a poll on WWE.com of which Tough Enough male talent you should bring back, and it was like Mata with like 72, and I think Tanner was like the closest guy next to him with like 20 or something like that. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think there's a lot of guys we're going to see and be kind of surprised with, and some we may be disappointed with that we were looking forward to seeing. So it's going to be very interesting. Something else that we need to bring up before we move into our fire round of quick hits is we're going to talk about the situation with WWE asking, hey, what time would you like your pay-per-view? That's the questionnaire they've been sending out. They've been sending out, different times, I guess, to assess what fans would like most. On a Sunday afternoon, would you like your show to be on at a certain time? So, looking at this, we've got different times. I'm looking up here now. I believe one is 5, one's 7, and one is 8 p.m., which 8 p.m. is the normal time if you're talking about
the
Eastern.
The other one is 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. That's right, 1 o'clock. So that's extremely early if you ask me, but there may be fans who would prefer it that way. What do you guys...
Think about it, on the West Coast, you're waking up at 10 a.m. to watch a pay-per-view.
Ugh, that's terrible. I feel bad for anybody like Randy who had to do that. That'd be terrible. But what do you think, Paul? I mean, do you think that this is a good idea for WWE to possibly change their time on the pay-per-views?
The only reason I could think you would want to change it is to appeal to international audiences, to give them a better viewing time. But that's a rough keel to haul, you know. I'm okay with the 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. That's what I grew up on. That's what I'm used to. So any change would end with me having a world-class hissy fit, and I don't think WWE wants that on their conscience. So.
Ooh, no. Oh, yeah.
I think 7 is okay because we're used to that, you know, with the SummerSlam and WrestleMania or whatever. But when you're talking about, I changed my schedule so I could be around for the pay-per-views and stuff like that. So I'd be kind of pissed if it's at 1 o'clock or 5 p.m. on a Sunday, because then I couldn't watch it live. I mean, and it wouldn't really do us any favors to have it earlier, because we'd still be doing the review. We'd still be doing the review afterwards later. It wouldn't be right at 8 o'clock, because I'm sure that wouldn't fit for a lot, you know, people trying to do stuff on Sunday night and whatever. So, I mean, I don't really see, from our perspective personally, I don't think it really works either one. I think, like Paul said, for international audiences outside of the UK, that kind of might help them. But if, you know, the thing is with the network, it doesn't really matter because you can watch it on demand. Because, you know, it's whatever. But I don't think it's really going to change. I can't imagine anybody, this plethora of people just going, oh, I want it to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
As apparently Skype just knocked Gary off again.
Awesome.
Just, man, Skype is our wonderful friend today. Just letting us down, man.
That's what it does, man. What it does.
As I had no idea where Gary was going to go from here, because he's the one that has all the news or whatever. But have you seen what they're going to put in the Owen Hart DVD, Paul?
I've seen bits and pieces. Like, I know they're putting all the tribute interviews that they did for the tribute episode of Raw that they did for him after he died. I think I saw that there was a match on there from like 98 and then some of his earlier work.
Yeah, they have some of his Stampede stuff, which is going to be interesting to see if they actually show the whole match or just parts of it or whatever. It is kind of weird that they end it right there on a kind of nothing match at 98. Or, well, yeah. I think it's it's one of the, it's a weird, like,
it's like against Kane or something, right?
Yeah. I think there's people complaining that the Sabu match is on there, but I think it was like at a house show and it doesn't have commentary, so that's probably the reason they don't want to have it. But I think it's interesting, I mean, that they apparently are going to talk about what happened with, you know, when he died and everything. I wonder how much they're going to be able to say, because it seems like from an interview that I heard with Brett that they tried really hard to make sure there was nothing on this thing that Martha could go sue them about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably going to be a lot of, you know, talking around things.
Right.
And we won't get the real story, I think.
Especially if you hear Bret Hart talk about it. Bret Hart is very critical of this, even though he was on it and, you know, they asked him a lot of questions. He says that just from his experience with the questions they asked him, he says that if he feels like it's going to be a very tamed down version of the Owen Hart story.
Which sucks, you know. I mean, I understand Martha being upset and everything, but this is at some point, you got to understand, like, the fans loved him and they want to see stuff about him. You know, I just don't. We're what, 15 years on from this?
I think we're more than 15.
Yeah, 20 years, almost.
I think we're 16, 17, something like that.
On from this, I mean, at some point. Is he, like, never going to be able to be in the Hall of Fame either because of her? I mean, I just that'd be totally wrong if he never gets in.
It's so true. I mean, this DVD, what I really would have loved is just sort of Bret Hart narrating Owen's career as he went along and sort of give his 2 cents here and there and maybe have some other guys pipe in with interviews and whatnot. But, like, Bret sort of guiding a match, sort of match-by-match career thing, as WWE has done before, I think would have worked really well.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Kind of like the Warrior one where he talks a little bit about each thing and then you get to the match.
Right. I think Shawn Michaels has a DVD like that, too.
I actually owned it at one point, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they have. I really am. I think that, when we're, talking about it, it's going to be something that's still very interesting to most people. I hope everybody checks it out. And we just do have our concerns about it, only because of what we've heard Bret Hart say, and, of course, knowing that Martha's not on board. So, I think, we've kind of talked about that. We're going to run through some of these other quick hits very quickly. And, guys, just, maybe give me 2 or 3 sentences about your opinion on each of these topics. That way we can kind of finish out this segment and do it, in a good fashion. Let's start with The Undertaker. Apparently, Undertaker may not be retiring at WrestleMania 32, like popular belief says. What would your thoughts be on that?
Total mistake. I think he should retire. It's time.
I mean, he showed he can still go against Brock. I'd want to hear reports of him on the Mexico tour to see if, he's still showing that kind of what he showed against Brock. It all depends on who he's in the ring with, obviously, too. Bray wasn't the best guy if you want to try to showcase Undertaker still having a little bit. And obviously it depends on if he gets... I think if he gets any kind of injury again, he has to. I mean, I don't know that he can really go anymore. If he gets another concussion or he gets any kind of serious injury, but I mean, I think selfishly we want to see him retire too, but it's just one of these. I mean, who am I to tell somebody that's such a legend to retire?
He's not going to find a bigger stage to do it. Do it at 32, take the bow, take your Hall of Fame induction, ride off into the sunset like he deserves.
I don't know that he has to do the Hall of Fame induction at the same time, but I think definitely it wouldn't hurt to just do it in your home state. They're not going to come back to Texas probably for a long while, so why not?
Yeah, go out in front of 100,000 people. Nobody can say that,
I agree. I'm right there with you, Paul. That's exactly what I want to. Lana apparently had to have wrist surgery because of her mishappen issue last week. So now she is going to be out 4 months, most likely. What do you think this is going to do to Lana and her career?
I mean, broken wrist, it just means she can't wrestle. I'm sure she can still show up and do interviews and whatnot. She just can't be as active.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to have her show up to kind of conclude this feud that's going on. I mean, we did have Rusev. I think it's a different deal to have Ziggler and Rusev carry it without the main part, which is Lana, than having Lana carry it with Rusev and Summer. So I think you'd still definitely have to have her show up. I have a feeling this is going to end in a totally different way than we're thinking, just to have WWE swerve us or something. Because Dolph Ziggler has not looked a face in this at all. In fact, I think I've had more sympathy for Rusev in the entire thing than I have for anybody else.
Okay. Very quickly, Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 32, not going to happen. She officially is going to be filming a movie in Indonesia, so she will not be a part of the WrestleMania 32. Thoughts?
Not surprising.
Sucks that we don't get to see her, but I mean, I thought it was going to be a stretch to see Dana let her say yes anyway.
Johnny Ace and the Bella Mama is going to get married on Total Divas. Are you going to watch?
Probably.
Man, if he comes out to that Dynamic Dudes theme, I'm so watching.
He comes down the aisle on that skateboard.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm all in. Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, maybe, maybe having a guy that you wouldn't think would be on, Mr. Eric Bischoff himself. Would you be excited about seeing Bish on Stone Cold's show?
That is a must-watch. I don't know if they've ever buried the hatchet, and I think it'd just be interesting to listen to Austin grill with Bischoff about everything.
I mean, they had like a big 4-parter or something on this podcast before. I'm sort of like getting to the point where I think they are totally overkilling the Monday Night War stuff. But it'd be interesting to see if they have anything new that we haven't heard to talk about.
Daniel Bryan has been talking about the fact that he has been trying to find doctors to clear him to wrestle in WWE because WWE's doctors will not. What do you think about that?
I think Daniel Bryan doesn't need to be in a rush, but at the same time, if he thinks he's ready, why not?
I think Daniel Bryan is probably thinking about, hey, you know, I need to do this while things are still going hot for me. You know, hey, you know what? The guy wants to make some money. It's his livelihood. If he wants to sit there and try to get himself back, you know, go for it.
Kurt Angle is saying that he does not want to retire with that TNA. He wants to maybe go do some other things, like take some time off before he retires from a company. Does this lead you to believe that he wants WWE to be his final resting place?
I think so. I mean, death analogy aside there, Gary. Royal Rumble possibility I don't think is far off.
That's a terrible analogy, but
his career.
You know what? Kurt Angle deserves to have one more WrestleMania match. And don't be surprised if the rumor we were trying to get last year happens this year with Royal Rumble appearance for Kurt Angle.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, the Hardys are in TNA right now, and do you think that they will ever make a WWE return, or maybe they don't stop and finish in TNA?
Never say never. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Well, I guess it depends on where Jeff Hardy's at, because I don't think they ever have a problem with Matt until he sort of went off the edge there.
You know, they've been talking about him both lately. You know, Edge talked about him a lot on that. Oh, we got to talk about that at some point here. But Edge talked about him a lot on the Stone Cold podcast deal. You know, it's one of these things where I think it's a slap in the face again to TNA. Like, we're just blatantly just, hey, we don't care if they're on the TNA contract. We want them. We're going to get them. Like, just...
Yeah, it's the way it works. They're the big boys, and WWE has all the power usually, just because people know the money's there, the exposure's there, and, you know, the talent's there, let's be honest. So, well, man, a lot of great quick hits this week. We've had some good discussions, but we are going to have to save some for later. Don't forget, we have some big TNA discussion going on there when they possible big name returning to the company. And of course, Sean just mentioned it. We are going to talk about the Stone Cold podcast right after Raw, so don't miss that. You definitely want to hear that. So we are going to move on, guys, and we want to let you know that Raw is brought to you by Math Tumble. This is a great game if you love math, or if you don't. It's a fun game to play. Go check it out on your Android devices. It will soon be coming to your Apple products, phones, and so we'll be looking for that soon. But right now it is an Android game only. We will be letting you know when it does become available on the Apple Store. So, all right, guys, we will be right back with some Monday Night Raw.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
So is our thing officially in the game yet, or?
We will once our banner is completely finished, we will have it in the game soon. We're just got to finish that banner.
Sweet. So there you go. You can support W2M by going to download Math Tumble, and you know, be astonished at seeing a wrestling logo in a while you learn math. You know, that's still pretty cool to me. Like, I never thought we would have something like in a game with you know, that we're part of. So, you know, that's awesome. But speaking of something that maybe wasn't so awesome, this Raw that happened in Baltimore, Maryland. I kind of feel bad for Josh having to go to this thing, but maybe for him who was there live. it was a much better experience. This opening segment, though, felt like it took forever. With Seth Rollins once again deciding that he wants to open the show, or well, WWE deciding that he should open the show by continuously talking until he gets boring chants yelled at him. And then all of a sudden, Sting appears on the Tron as Seth Rollins wants to know where his statue is, or I should actually say that again. Seth frickin' Rollins wants to know where the statue is. And Sting just wants him to come and get it. And, yeah. Oh, and then we even have Sheamus come out because I guess they wanted to start teasing the whole cash in with Sheamus. And then he looks, yeah, the crowd's chanting, "Look, you look stupid because of your hair." But I thought Sheamus looked even stupider because of he admitted that Ronald McDonald is part of his family. That's something I certainly wouldn't want to tell anyone.
So his family tree is now Ronald McDonald and Beaker.
Yeah, two casts of characters there.
Best family tree ever. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, add Conan in there, and it's the solid family that I would love to be a part of.
Yes, Gary, that needs to happen. But even worse, I thought Seth looked so stupid doing this. But, Seth is the baby of the Triple H and Stephanie family, so that's totally okay. As Seth Rollins comes into backstage and asks Stephanie, "Where is Hunter? I want to know if he has a plan." And Stephanie is like, "Well, you don't want to hear my plan?" He's like, "Well, Hunter just always has this thing down. He just... He knows what we're doing here, We had to plan it out like a family." And then, Triple H appears and tells him, "Well, my plan is that you're going to face Ryback, and you're going to face John Cena and the Primetime Players as you team with the New Day in a 6-man tag in a Challengers versus Champions match for later on." And Stephanie was like, "Well, I was just going to tell you to go find Sting, but Triple H has a much better plan." So I thought Seth looked like a child waiting for his parents to tell him what to do. But, that's just me.
That's kind of the point here, isn't it? Because if the plan is still Triple H and Seth, then you have to have Seth have beef with Triple H here. And I think him sort of relying on him and then realizing maybe relying on them isn't the way to go might be a way to start that babyface turn that we keep hearing about.
Yeah.
Notice all the question marks I used?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I just, it's fine. It's what we've seen from Rollins. It makes me laugh every time I see this kind of thing. Like, God, Rollins he just cannot do anything without Triple H and Stephanie.
That's true. I'm just waiting for Triple H to come in there one day and says, "Call me Daddy." So, maybe even him training, Seth Rollins in another room, kind of like he did Trish Stratus,
But dear.
Oh, Gary, come on now.
Oh, dear.
Kidding. But needless to say, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, though, Sean. About he's always depending on them, but that's his role. He does it so well. I know a lot of people hate on Seth Rollins, but I'm enjoying him as a heel character. This is one of those classic, chicken-ass, heels, and that's fine. I'm good with that.
His whole angle for the night is like page 5 out of Attitude Era booking, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, but it was way too much Seth Rollins. It was like, my God, can we tone it down a little bit? It was like Seth Rollins was on the show for, I think, more than anybody else, and it was an obscene amount, way more than anybody else, just the overexposure of the guy.
I will certainly agree with you there.
And if you're not going to give him anything interesting to say in his opening promo, just don't have him do an opening promo.
Mm-hmm. I think the best thing to solve this problem is to have less Seth Rollins and more of Orton and Sheamus. Maybe have longer matches with those guys.
Oh God, this was the Raw to teach you of what not to do when you're trying to gain an audience on Labor Day. Just
God
horrid.
bless you, Gary. You could always show us that things could be worse.
Yeah, see? Always. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you on the fact that Seth Rollins is way too much. And, I mean, this episode in general is too much. They should have just maybe took the night off.
You know what? I just don't get it. Like, I understand that, you know, you've got stuff going on here and whatever. I mean, you've got the Labor Day, but you've got a freaking big-time college football game going against you. You're going to have 2 Monday Night Football games going against you next week. Like, you might want to ramp it up instead of sitting here going slow and acting like the show doesn't matter. It's like everybody took a night off on the show, except for Sting and Seth Rollins and, like, some of the performers. But it's like the writers, I don't know where they were at, but just, I mean, come on. Just, like, is this what you're going to tell us when you have competition? You're just going to phone it in every time? Because that's not making me want to watch Raw. In fact, I really didn't watch a lot of Raw. I watched the Ohio State game instead to show you that this Raw was not that great. But moving on to something that was actually pretty decent. Paige versus Sasha Banks. A pretty good match. I got a "this is awesome" towards the end. The finish was something I kind of expected, with Team Bad running in and then Sasha getting the roll up to kind of get her win back from, not getting a win back, but sort of getting a win over, because Paige kind of had dominated the beat the clock 1 minute thing. We have that, and we also have later on in the show, pretty much Charlotte comes out to interrupt the Bella-bration happening. As
God. Everything needs a pun, right? Jesus.
So, Nikki's sitting here talking about how she's going to be big time champion next week. We had already told you, I think, on the previous, on last week's show, that on SmackDown, Charlotte had petitioned the authority to let her have the match on Raw next week of 4. Nikki would break the record. So, in order to do that, she basically comes up and breaks the party. Which, if you haven't watched Charlotte's interview with Michael Cole, I thought she did a really good job here on that. I didn't think she did this great a job on this show as far as in her promo. Mm-hmm. She tried way too hard to be her father.
Yeah.
It was Ric Flair promo 101, and it didn't sound that great to me. It was just like, hey, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to take your title, and I love parties, even though I sound so stoic while I tell you that I love parties too. At least her dad was like getting crazy, making you feel like, man, that dude is a party animal. I want to go party with that dude. Charlotte, I'm sorry. Not the same feeling there. But
she needs to wear a scarf to the ring and maybe drop an elbow on
it. She needs to style and profile a little bit, just if you're gonna do your dad, have a little bit more emotion in there. But at least they kept it short and sweet. What do you think about the Divas Revolution for this week?
I really enjoyed the Sasha Banks Paige match. It got time, which I appreciated. It was pretty good. It was solid. I think it was starting to build to somewhere before they cut it short with the interference, though. That's really my only complaint with it. I agree with you about Charlotte's promo during the interruption thing. I mean, I'm glad they're running with this. I think it's a really neat idea. But there's a better set. I think it was a backstage interview segment on SmackDown where she interrupts Nikki, which came across so much better than everything she did here on Raw.
Yeah, looking at this, I mean, I think we know what Paul said about it is right. It was a pretty good match until they did the interruption, and you kind of get disappointed at times, but you really understand it's Monday Night Raw. All the other stuff trumps what's going to happen match-wise. So, I mean, it's expected. I'm not too disappointed, but I wish they could have gave us just a full, clean match. It'd been awesome.
Yeah. So, at least I guess, got a clean beat down of the Ascension pretty quickly here by Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. I mean, for everything you have done with Cosmic Wasteland, I was like, so what happened to the stable that was supposed to be happening? It happened on SmackDown, so I guess it doesn't exist, right? Like, you know, it's whatever. At least the Tower of Doom spot was cool. I mean, this seemed more like an angle so that you could get the promo that we got.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I mean, that promo was cool. I'll give him credit. The guy, Strowman, can actually talk much better than Rowan. So, that's another thing that, you know, is kind of throwing Rowan through a loop here with him not getting brought back, because Strowman's kind of outdoing him in every facet right now.
Right. I completely agree with you. I think Strowman's sort of impressing me out of nowhere here because I wasn't expecting a lot, and maybe that's why he is, because I had low expectations. It kind of sucks about the Ascension here, though. I think they do a bit better, once again, treating them on SmackDown. We're working Neville into a feud with the Cosmic Wasteland and Neville and the Lucha Dragons, which should be really fun match-wise. I don't know if they'll ever get time to build anything, but either way, it sucks that they have to lose here to Roman Reigns and Ambrose in 3 minutes. Because, gosh, that makes them look about as threatening as a kitten. But
it's true. That is so true. I mean,
what do you think about the? I really don't like the Sam Shaw hold that they have Strowman doing. I just think it looks dumb on everyone. But
I get what he's going for once again. Because I didn't really dig it with Sam Shaw either, but it was whatever. It looks more threatening with him because he's literally lifting them off their feet. Like, when he did it to Reigns, his feet weren't even close to touching the canvas, which I think looks more impressive. I don't know if you can really work a choke like that into looking effective wrestling-wise. Now, if he turns it into like a slam after he chokes him out, I think I'd get behind it.
Right.
I agree. I mean, it's impressive that he can do that. Pick up a guy like Reigns and do this, but at the same time, I get it. You know, when he's done, he's just done. They fall to the mat and whatever. You get a little bit more impact, a little bit more action in the move, and I think you're going to be set. I agree. I don't know. I don't have a problem with anything he does, you know, really, though. I think this guy's new. I think everything he's doing is exciting people just because he's so massive. So it's hard for me to say much bad about this guy.
And we got to talk about this because it kind of goes along with his storyline. Sheamus Orton, number 20,003,402. Still nothing bad, just they really can't do anything different in their matches. I mean, we've seen it all. I mean, what else is there to see?
Not a lot. I mean, this match wasn't bad, I think, by any stretch of the imagination. No. It's about as entertaining as watching paint dry at this point.
Exactly. So let's just move on.
But at least we move on to Randy Orton getting beat down by the Wyatt family. He is apparently going to take time off soon, so they're kind of leading into that. But he is not going to be the guy that partners with Reigns and Ambrose. WWE.com might have actually leaked the guy that is going to be their partner, and it looks like it's going to be Baron Corbin. The guy that we said, I think, a bunch of times is not ready, but he's going to show up. What do you think, Paul?
I can't say I'm excited. As you said, he's not ready. And it looked like, I think on SmackDown they did a promo with Jimmy Uso, which I felt like would be a fun option to go with. He's got obvious experience with the Wyatt family too, so.
I do appreciate them they know that people might have found out, so they might be doing all this as a smokescreen. That's when I think when the internet finds things out and they can find out creative ways to kind of see if they can throw people off.
Mm-hmm.
That's when that works. But who knows? It could be Jimmy Uso, which I agree with you Wouldn't be that bad. And also, that's what's weird is Baron Corbin is a lone wolf guy. Like, he wouldn't seem to be the type to want to just be on their team.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm just trying to think of his motivation at all. You know, he's a heel in NXT. For the most part, so
you're asking WWE to give motivation to people.
Yeah, I know. I know. I agree. That's a dumb thing for me to say. It really is. But I just, I think common sense wise, and that just doesn't work. And not only that, Paul said it. The guy, it really isn't ready. It doesn't excite me at all. Sure, the entrance is cool. I love his music. I love everything about Baron Corbin until the music stops and the lights come up. Then I'm done. So, I mean, I just don't know what we're going to get out of this. I hope it is a smoke screen. I hope somebody better comes out. Like, come on, throw Tyler Breeze in there. If we don't care about, common sense, let's just throw somebody that's actually pretty awesome in there.
They could, who would make sense?
Who's that?
Bull Dempsey.
Bull fit. Yeah, you're right.
I want to hear what Vince thinks if he ever comes to the main roster. And they're chanting that.
As long as his music is the 80s workout music, I'm set.
So long as I get a stable of bullfit with beef mode, I'm sold.
I wonder if that's even a thing still.
It should be.
Well, apparently, you know what is still a thing is Big Show and The Miz for some reason. Oh. Or at least on this show it was. Cesaro and The Miz had a match because they had a deal on the pre-show. Big Show came out for no reason whatsoever, beat up The Miz, and then all of a sudden wants to just knock out Cesaro at the end. So WWE must be trolling themselves at this point. Big Show comes out, he's a heel, and then in 10 seconds he's a face. I think WWE's just having fun with this at this point now. That they know that people are just know that Big Show has no direction, so we're just gonna have him do whatever. But Cesaro against the Big Show, would say it's impressive if Cesaro gets the win.
If that's the reason why they're doing it, is so Cesaro can get some momentum under him, go for it. If it's a way to keep him languishing under people who he really has no business languishing under at this point because of how over he's getting, and he's getting loud reactions now on television, then that's a problem. But you got to go with him now. He's hot. He's hot again, and you can't screw this up twice.
Yeah, Gary, even Michael Cole was saying, hey, when he grabbed JBL's hat, even though they chanted for JBL for a second, and then he told them to chant Cesaro, and they started chanting Cesaro. But Michael Cole even said, hey, and people say this guy doesn't have charisma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's so funny because, it's up to Vince who has charisma and who doesn't. It doesn't matter if we all see it or, if a mass population of people put it out there and realize it. It's up to Vince. And hopefully Vince saw that, and hopefully Vince gets it and doesn't just stick with his, stubborn ways and just think, oh, this is just some guy, it is not really, making sense because he speaks a different language than English, I'm hoping, that, this has got some momentum with it. I think Paul's right. I mean, you get a chance to see what he's doing. He's hot. He's ready. You got to move him forward. But I just have those fears that every time he gets hot, they get the ice bucket out and they try to cool him down.
Yeah, at least they certainly are not trying to... Gary, you're giving me these great segues, by the way. They're certainly not trying to cool down the New Day, who were just a riot on this show. They were the best part of this show. They had him every time they were on. I couldn't turn back to the game because I knew they were going to do something great. Xavier Woods is now my hero for playing the Final Fantasy Victory song on the trombone. As Byron Saxon apparently is up on his video games, he called it The Charge during the match. What an idiot you are, Byron Saxon. Should play some Final Fantasy so you know what Xavier Woods is doing there. But the backstage segment with Seth Rollins was a masterpiece of Attitude Era greatness. Something that would have fit right in 1999. With the New Day, we're sitting there playing the trombone and then telling Seth Rollins, oh, great stuff. That as Rollins is like, I don't have time for this. I got a lot on my plate. And then Edge and Christian show up. Edge rightly reminds Seth Rollins that they have beef. And the best thing ever happens. We have a trombone and kazoo off happening. This was great. And then Big E takes the kazoo and eats it. I mean, come on. It's like so awesome. You can't. I mean, if you haven't seen this, you need to go watch it. I mean, he literally stuffs it in his mouth, eats it, and throws it away. It's awesome. And then the Dudley Boys show up and do a rendition of Get the Tables, which is great. It's just awesome segment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't get better than big tricep meat E trying to eat a kazoo. It just you can't beat that. That's wonderful television.
Yeah, this is the highlight of the night for sure. It's comedy, it's intriguing, it's everything above. I mean, it's nostalgic, especially with seeing Edge and Christian and the Dudleys in the same room again. It gives you tingles again, just to remember the great things those guys did in the ring. So, I mean, I just, I think it was a blast to watch, and it definitely entertained me.
Yeah, you could certainly hear the difference of reaction, though, between Edge and Christian showing up and then the massive pop the Dudleys got when they appeared on the screen. So, definitely those folks in Baltimore obviously still remember where the Dudleys come from. But before we get to the continuing greatness of the New Day, we have to stop and discuss Ryback and Seth Rollins, which, again, felt like it went on forever, like a 17, 18-minute match. That I thought Seth Rollins did well here, so did Ryback, but it wasn't like, anything that great. I thought it plodded a bit. And speaking of plodding, Ryback's promo before this, too, was a bit of a plot.
Yes. Not some of his best work. But I thought the match was good. It was one of the better matches, if not the best match on the card that we got for Raw. So, I mean, there's that. I think Ryback and Seth Rollins had some chemistry, despite the... Because commercials killed this match for me. Like, it started heating up, and then we got to cut to commercial. Thanks, WWE. Like, kill this match. It's champion versus champion, right? You want it? No. Okay. Whatever.
We did have the return of the frickin' Destruction roll-up. It's been a while since we've seen one of those, but I'll allow it since the thing with Sting has been going on throughout the show. Even though,
it's
putting a mask on Seth Rollins' statue was just stupid. But
is it dumber than the big guy rolling up Rollins?
I will hear no bad talk of Ryback, Gary.
Just saying, just
much like Glacier, we will not talk bad about Ryback.
Glacier.
Duly noted. But yeah, Seth Rollins' response to that mask, it was hilarious. I'm sorry, I loved it. He just, he got it so offended.
Yeah, this was total Stone Cold Attitude Era stuff of, hey, I'm on the Tron, I'm doing something. Hey, I'm gonna show up and you're gonna hate this and you're gonna hate that, and we get the total Stone Cold running over the Rock's car thing at the end with the statue going into the garbage truck. Which I appreciated, and like Gary mentioned, Sting rolling off as the Joker, sort of getting an homage there to his TNA run. Did you guys notice that they did include the Dudley Boys TNA tag team titles in their tag team title number that they were announced in this week as 24-time tag team champions?
Wow.
I did not notice that. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. Wow.
I love how they went from 9 to 24 in one week. But, maybe Bubba Ray got into their ear and told them, hey, you might want to announce that we've been champion so many times. And I always like the fact that, JBL likes to mention the IWGP tag titles,
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm pretty sure they mentioned the IWGP tag title run, which I, as well as you did, appreciated.
But, the last thing we got to talk... Well, not the last thing. We're certainly going to get to one other segment after this. But, my lord, man, the New Day are just... Can we just watch a bunch of New Day matches on repeat? This is great. Like, just... Big E's just dancing while he beats up John Cena.
New Day is Raw at this point. There's not a better act top to bottom on the card right now than.
And they're getting New Day Rock's chance. You can barely hear the sucks part now. Man, if WWE doesn't screw this up, we've got a very organically over stable for once.
And honestly, let's all be honest. Who really saw this coming? Because I remember when they came out in the blue, everybody was making fun of them. They were all saying, oh, this looks terrible. Me personally, I didn't know where the expectations were when I first saw this whole tag team. I really felt like these guys were going to be breaking up within maybe a year. And now I'm like, these guys have a long run ahead of them if they keep on this pace because they're doing so great.
I'm sure you would have to sift through a lot of, my God, they need to be the new nation comments from us, especially me. So, the thing I really, the New Day is great, right? Primetime player is great. The thing that pissed me off about this match was the booking, because Cena gets his ass handed to him for 10 minutes, and then suddenly Lil Cena wins. Typical Lil Cena wins is and the reason why we all hate John Cena.
And the finish was dumb, too. Like, Seth Rollins escapes the STF, and then immediately Kingston eats the AA, and it's over.
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Lol sequence. Yeah.
But let's not take it away. I think, honestly, the guy that is, doing himself wonders in this thing, I know Xavier Woods is great, but Big E, man, my goodness. If they don't do something with this guy now, they're missing the boat, because Big E is just... Not only is he actually, I think he's improving as a wrestler, but man, that guy is hilarious. God, there's so many things you could do with Big E. They are missing opportunities if they don't do something with that guy afterwards. Just awesome. And then Xavier Woods, doing the trombone to Kofi Kingston, doing the slide kick or whatever. That was awesome. Man, he has that thing down, and it's not overbearing either. It's just really good, and it goes all together, and it makes you laugh every time they do something.
Yeah.
So
long as Xavier keeps following Big E around, randomly screaming about tricep meat, I'm fine. I'm cool.
He just says so much dumb stuff during the matches. It's great.
I love it. It's so awesome.
He just... I really think, I've heard this comparison, and I won't be surprised if they can keep doing it. We could see a new Edge and Christian showing up, where they're just on all the time with the comedy, but they can go out there and deliver, too.
They're certainly holding down the tag team division right now. As you said, they have the comedic chops. I don't see why not. If you have them working around with Edge and Christian showing up, and you have the Dudleys... and you can get a couple more tag teams up there. Why not try for some more TLC magic,
Yeah,
why not?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I agree.
But we do, before we get that rating for Raw, we have to talk about this segment with Summer Rae apologizing after we got a total E-Network TMZ style recap. That I was wondering the whole time, WTF, what did I just watch? I don't know if I just watched Entertainment Tonight or if I just watched Raw, but it was at least different. And then we got Summer Rae saying, I'm sorry, and Rusev just botching his line in a very comedic fashion. I don't know that he meant to do that, but it was... pretty funny. And then, the crickets that we got for the pictorial of Summer Rae. And the best part was, my Ruru, thank you for accepting my apology.
Oh my god.
Talk about emasculating Rusev right there. It's just, oh man. But, you know, see at least he's okay with the betray, or not the betrayed, or they did this well though. You still have Rusev kind of showing he still has some feelings for Lana there, with saying that Lana's being messed up by Dolph's American lies, and Dolph got the quip in there that well, that's certainly not what Lana told me last night, before he goes in and gives Rusev the super kick. And well, that's the end of your segment there. But I thought Summer did pretty okay, and I thought Rusev again is kind of getting sympathy on his side. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Rusev winds up a face at the end of this thing.
Honestly, it doesn't matter, because from henceforth on the W2M podcast, Rusev will now be referred to as Ruru.
Yes. I second that motion, Paul. I definitely do. and you have to hear me out. Every time we mention Dolph, you've got to talk about him glistening. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just get that in your mind.
Dolph and Dear Ruru.
Yeah. Dear Ruru. God bless him. He certainly tried.
Oh, Lord. You know, I still, even after all this, I just don't care about this whole feud. I just don't. I love Dolph Ziggler, Lana, and all, but I just don't care.
I want to know what pet name Lana has for Rusev then. If Summer Rae is going around calling him Ruru.
What if it is Ruru? Like.
Oh no. That would be awkward. Yeah. Don't, you know, hopefully it's
well, we all have that with our significant others having, you know, no nicknames for us and whatever, but it's certainly something you don't want to say on live television.
Yeah, like, you know, I you know, never admit mine was Charlie Brown or anything crazy, you know, so.
But let's, you know, at least we had a lot of laughs on this show, which is better than sometimes it felt watching this Raw. But what do we have for a rating for this Raw? I saw Larry had it pretty low.
4.5, which I felt was low. I'm thinking 5.5. It may not have been the best Raw ever, but it was certainly parts of it were very entertaining. And I'm looking at New Day mostly, but yeah.
You know, I'm going to go a 5 on this. I think, you know, it's below average for sure. There's so much stuff that we could sit here and just blab on about. Some of it we have. I think there's more we could probably complain about, but we're not going to waste our time. I think that, you know, the positives out of this were basically Sting. I did enjoy him tonight for the first time, really. I think he did a really good job. And then the second thing is New Day. I think New Day was really, really fun. So there you go.
I would agree with you. I think Sting in a big showing, able to show that he can carry the show and have segments throughout the show. He didn't have a physical presence in the ring or on the stage at all, but I thought he carried the backstage segments really well. And, you know, just the way it ended I thought was really great. Baltimore wanted to see him. They got to see plenty of him. Probably saw too much of Seth Rollins, but it's whatever.
Yeah, we've all seen too much of Seth Rollins. Just look at the internet.
So. Oh, dear, Gary. You didn't even have to make the look at the internet quip. We all knew.
I knew where you were going, and it's just, I couldn't stop.
You know, there you go. But you know what, Sean? We do need to talk about that Stone Cold podcast that followed this Monday Night Raw. And
did you actually give a rating, Gary?
I did. 5.
I'm going to say, 5.
So, there you go.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that. I thought it was pretty good. Once again, lots of insider stuff there from a guy that was talking about celebrities shouldn't be in the ring. I'm just saying. I know it's a podcast and whatever. I'm just making the joke. But I found it pretty interesting. Certainly Edge and Christian are totally fine being retired, it seems like. The whole thing with their kids being born so close to each other, that was amazing to me. Like, just, like, really, they really can't do anything not together, I guess.
I just wish at the conception they would have tagged in and out.
Whose baby's who? We don't know.
Let's all have a party.
And Stone Cold will be there to sing Kumbaya as well.
Yeah, exactly.
With that stupid little hat. Oh my god.
Wow. Oh, you gotta love it. Now, I mean, I think the overall, it was very entertaining. I enjoyed a lot of the discussions they had. Some of it was very serious. Of course, talked about Edge's injury and some of the things he went through, and of course, they kind of talked about the Hall of Fame, and I just think the whole thing was just it was a great variety. You got serious, you got comedy, because trust me, Christian did a good job in throwing a few jokes in there, and some of them were inside jokes, so you kind of sat there going, huh?
The Cole "Don't Look at Me" thing, that was cool. They did that on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They got to tell some stories. I'd already read the story about the ice thing in Edge's book, but he got to tell it again. I wonder how Rhino feels about the story being told there, but yeah, I mean, it's overall I thought it was good. I mean, what did you think, Paul?
I really dug it too. I mean, it was like, I think Gary nailed it. It was like a variety show. Way back in the day, you had variety shows on TV that ran an hour. This is exactly what it was. You had your comedy, you had your serious moments, you had some fun road stories. The Edge talking about acting and how he just sort of happened upon it, I thought was really interesting.
Because of his speech, of all things.
A retirement speech, and then a one-episode gig turns into the rest of the series, and now he's going to be on Flash in the next season. It's just, talk about lucking into a nice snowballing career there,
Right, yeah, for sure. Wonder if Christian's going to get a role or not there.
Yeah, I mean, you say, I don't know if Christian is always okay. I think he's okay with being done with wrestling. I don't think he's done with the WWE, though, I think Edge is just done. Mm-hmm. I think Christian wants more to do in wrestling.
I think Christian, he something that I think Kurt Angle could learn from too is maybe Kurt Angle needs to just stick his foot in the door and say, can I be an NXT trainer? And maybe you bring him out on NXT one night. I don't know if Triple H is going to put his ego aside or whatever. And you gauge the reaction he gets. And you go, you know what? Why don't we just let him have his last match or whatever? I wonder if Christian would think about that. Maybe, he did say they talked to the young guys and all that or whatever. Go down to NXT, be a trainer, go do something there. They should have him on the pre-show stuff more. I thought he did really good in that role. But, I mean, there's things he can do if they want to use him. Hopefully Vince is over the whole blue dot nonsense or whatever, but it's just... because he definitely deserves to have some kind of role somewhere.
Yeah.
He definitely does. And, it's just interesting, to hear them talk about that and how, Christian's career has gone and where he is compared to where Edge is. And, Edge is a Hall of Famer. It only took a year before he became a Hall of Famer after he was retired. And, of course, Christian's sitting there not really playing second fiddle, but we all know Christian's just a different type of wrestler. He was put in a different place in wrestling. So, I mean, I got to ask you guys the question that, Stone Cold asked Edge. Do you think Christian is a Hall of Famer?
I think if you look totally at his career, yes. Not only, obviously, the tag team work for both guys speaks for itself. I think Christian walked a different path. And one, I think that's much more difficult because Edge worked his way up in the same company. Christian had to go outside WWE, prove, I think, that he could carry a promotion, which he did. He carried TNA for about a year almost before they started getting the ball on the ball. And then he comes back and has this miraculous run in ECW before we get to the SmackDown stuff. So I would absolutely say he's a Hall of Famer.
I would say he is too. Definitely WWE Hall of Fame for sure. Even just on his tag work, I think you could put him on the WWE Hall of Fame. Then you add in all his single stuff, and I think that's a total shoe-in. I don't know about like first ballot or whatever like Edge, but he definitely deserves to go in as part of a group. So, I think I know some people might feel like Edge doesn't deserve 2 rings, but Edge and Christian as a tag team should go in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I think you've got to, because I feel like one day probably the Hardys will go in and the Dudleys as tag teams, and you can't leave out Edge and Christian as a part of that group. So. But overall, I guess, we can pretty much say this was a really successful podcast, and I really, enjoyed it. And Stone Cold, as long as he has more like that, I think we'll be happy, I think it was very, very successful. So, well, guys, that is that for that segment. We definitely had fun doing it, but we are going to move on and talk some NXT. So you guys need to hold your horses. And we are going to talk about the Champion show coming up after that. And, of course, don't forget, we do have some TNA stuff that you are not going to want to miss. But we'll be right back with NXT.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Well, Gary was talking about successful podcasts, a while ago. You can help us be a much more successful podcast by going and subscribing to us on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever the heck there else are podcasts. And we have a new W2M Network Facebook page that you can go like. That would be awesome if you and your friends and whoever else listens to this podcast, or maybe people that are new to the podcast, you can go search W2M Network on Facebook and go like the page so you can find out whenever we go live, whichever one of the shows we're doing, and you'll never miss a moment of whatever happens on the network. So, and you can also go subscribe to us on YouTube so that you can get all of the shows there. Whether you just like this show or a sports show or whatever, it's there for you. So, and then sometimes you'll even get some extra ones that show up on that YouTube. So.
Definitely, and also I just want to throw this out to people, hey, if you really want to be a good part of the show and help us out, because you're all part of this show as well, we'd love for you to, maybe send out all the people in your friends list the link to the page. The Wrestling to the Max page is great, but we have a W2M Network. I'm getting used to that. The W2M Network encompasses all our podcasts, and you never know. Your Uncle Sal may love football and not know that we exist. So go show your Uncle Sal this. And of course, there is a video game podcast. I'm sure you have a cousin or somebody that would love to hear Sean's Cooperative Multiplayer podcast. So hey, hit everybody up with that link and help them help us while they like it.
Sure. And of course, those rate and reviews also help. But we should get to reviewing NXT on this show as well. So, as I find my way to this in my notes here, that I am for some reason confused at scrolling. But so we start off with we do find out that we're going to get the Finn Balor and Samoa Joe against Lucha Dragons match that was taped, I think, before SmackDown in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm glad that they weren't dumb and tried to make us think that they were still at Full Sail while they were clearly in another arena. So that's something that WWE would have done for some dumb reason before. But
it transformed.
Yeah, I think Triple H is smart enough to know, okay, we're not going to trick these people in thinking that they're still in Full Sail. So, we might want to tell them. Plus, they know, everybody knows that they read spoilers and whatnot. That's why Triple H goes and tweets out the main event of TakeOver before the deal is over, because they know people are reading these spoilers. Smart man, that Triple H. So we start off with a women's match, Carmella versus Peyton Royce, or the former Casey Cassidy. I thought Carmella looked pretty good here. So did Cassidy. So did Peyton Royce. You talked a lot about how Carmella kind of held down the Eva Marie match at the pre-takeover show. I thought she continues to show that she's growing here. Even with I like the new setup into the submission. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, she's added a few new moves here. I think her sort of pacing has gotten better. She seems quicker in the ring. And maybe it's just because she's working with somebody a bit more competent in Peyton Royce, who I think these new Australian girls that they signed, like a Peyton Royce or like a, oh, geez, yeah, I'm blanking on her new name. Billie Kay, yeah. They're still trying to find their way, I think, in the WWE system. Trying to figure out what their moveset is going to be and all that, trying to change the way they work some. So we're getting some growing pains here, but all in all, I mean, this was still a pretty fair match for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so too. It was exciting just to get a chance to see some new blood, really get a chance to get things going, and I was excited about it. I was really happy to see this match, and I think they did a pretty solid job. Carmella is definitely growing. When she first got here, I didn't think too much of her, but now seeing her in this role and seeing her, get in a match against someone who's been around for a little while, it's great. And so, it brings more hope to not just some of the bigger names in the Divas division when it comes to NXT, but it shows you even the ones that are in the lower part of it are just as good and getting better.
Well, they certainly have to, move them up because, the 3 of the big 4 are leaving, so they have to try to make new female stars, and I'm glad we're getting that. We keep getting the vignettes for Nia Jax as well, so we'll see her soon. I think, as I mentioned earlier when Glenn was on, we'll have another women's match on the show. Certainly, they're making the women a bigger deal. It might be because of lack of talent too, but just it's good to see. Something that this whole thing with the Divas Revolution, all that's kind of kept going, is that certainly they want to make it apparent that fans are okay with seeing 1 or 2 or 3 women's matches on one show. Something that, Joe showed that he wants the NXT title in a little backstage thing with Finn Balor that we got to see. So they keep teasing this. It's pretty obvious to anybody that's watched wrestling for any sort of amount of time what's going on here. But, I like to keep going along with the show as it continues. And we get clips of the Dusty Rhodes Classic match between Enzo and Cassidy against Angelo Dawkins and Sawyer Fulton from a live event. Enzo and Cass win. We also get to see Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson beat up Tucker Knight and the Drifter, Elias Sampson, who is apparently outside the NXT arena at shows or at the house shows, actually acting like a drifter. So, go him. I don't know.
Live the gimmick, bro.
Yeah. I don't know about the gimmick, but hey, at least he's living it, like Paul says. But we do get one full match here with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa against Bull Dempsey and Tyler Breeze. Obviously, Bull and Tyler Tyler has issues with Bull. And they play the whole Bull didn't know Tyler was on the apron and he knocked him down kind of thing, which allowed Gargano and Ciampa to win. We do get a Bull Dempsey doing the Dusty Elbow, though, the Bionic Elbow, so that was cool. But what did you think of the match?
The match is fine. It is what it is, where it's more of an angle thing almost, with Dempsey and Breeze starting their feud here and Gargano and Ciampa getting the surprise win. But hats off to the announce team, Rich Brennan, and Jesus, I'm blanking on another name. Corey Graves. Like, the pairing of Bull Dempsey and Tyler Breeze for them was like Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan tagging or something like that. Just like this crazy over-the-top tag team. Oh my God, guys, Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey are tagging! And
Graves was like, oh my God, this could be the best thing ever.
Like living the gimmick again.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just was so thrilled to see Ciampa get back in the ring, and just for me to get a chance to see him work and the NXT. I loved it. Gargano looked pretty good himself. So those guys are solid. You don't have to worry about them. And of course, with Breeze and Bull Dempsey, those guys have their own set of skills. So
This was okay. Nothing exactly to write home about, but it was very positive, and I think for the most part it was enjoyable.
2 sets of promos here. Kalisto basically translated everything that Sin Cara said. Obviously Kalisto is he's American, so he can speak English pretty well, even better than Ray. So I still don't understand the whole why we're not trying to really push this guy, but whatever with WWE on that one. But I thought Dana Brooke did a really good job in her promo, being disgusted of the fact that Bayley won, and she got to turn on the fans a little bit. Where it took her a little bit to get there. It wasn't smooth, but she wanted to prove a point that she was here to wrestle. She wasn't here to be a bodybuilder. And I think it doesn't make you really be a heel, but it's still cool. It's something an evolution for Dana Brooke, so that's good. And we also got a really neat Ty Dillinger little Perfect 10 vignette too in here.
Mm-hmm. Dana Brooke's interview, I thought it took a long time for her to make her point, although points to her for bringing up the patting of the head. I love that. It's almost a face promo, because she's like, I'm cutting out, I'm not doing the Arnold Classic over in Spain, I'm not focusing on my bodybuilding career right now, I'm here in NXT to prove that I am a wrestler. Totally a face promo. There's like 5 seconds of heel material in this whole thing. That was my only problem with it. Other than that, I think she was pretty solid all the way around.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I could definitely agree with that. And what we're getting out of it, it's okay. But I think that we're hopefully going to get better. That's my biggest hope.
Yeah, and the match I thought was pretty decent here too. The finish, she kind of hit the finisher a little messed up, but and that the handstand knee thing looked weird, but the where she just flips over and chokes her with her foot, that was done much better this time than the way she's done it before. Certainly better than the match that Eva Marie had with Billie Kay.
Yes. This miles ahead of everything Eva Marie was doing. The pacing was so much better. I will harp on this till she is. Billie Kay is a star in the making. If she's not at the top of the Divas division the next couple of years, they're doing something wrong. I think she has the look, she has the wrestling ability, she has everything they want. She just needs the time to get there.
Yeah, very tall, too.
Yeah, that Mafia kick is dangerous. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Very dangerous. So, I'm very happy with what we're getting out of that, though. Looking forward to seeing more.
Yeah, and then we finished with a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic match. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe against the Lucha Dragons. I thought this was a lot of fun. It wasn't smooth, at least from Sin Cara's point, the whole time, but this was still something that could have just been a squash, and they made it into a pretty good match, I thought. And the crowd was really into it, too. But, Lord, at some point, I think they need to speed up the Balor entrance. Sometimes it just takes way too long. And, I understand that he had to deal with a different kind of pacing because of the, being in a different arena and all that. But, man, just it was a little bit too much. It just felt like he was waiting until that part in the song so he could do the thing with his hands. And it's, I like the finish, too, the muscle buster into the coup de grace.
Yeah, that finish was sick. The whole tag team match I thought was really good. Kalisto, I think, is to show off again, which is always a bonus. I really, really enjoyed this match a lot. It's not the most technically sound or anything like that. It's just a really fun match, and I highly recommend you go watch it.
Yeah, and you got This Is Awesome before they even hit the bell.
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting ready to prepare.
So this is, a lot of fun to watch. We were wondering what was going to happen with Joe and Balor together, and there you go. You get a pretty solid team, and it was interesting too because of the fact that Balor took most of the offense, and it didn't take too long, I guess, but it took long enough to get Joe in the ring, and he helped take care of business. So pretty solid if you ask me.
Well, that's NXT.
There you go, guys. So, we are going to be jumping into another segment coming up here, the Champion Show.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. There's apparently at those tapings that taped 3 weeks worth of stuff, Finn Balor now comes out with the Balor Club thing as part of his Titantron, which has led people to once again start rumors of certain Bullet Club members apparently going to show up at NXT.
Ooh.
The Young Bucks is a word I've been heard thrown around. Man, this would be really weird if all of a sudden all we keep hearing is the Bucks are saying no, and all of a sudden they just show up randomly. But, if it's a one shot or whatever, that would be a pretty awesome moment for sure.
Yeah, if it's a one shot, that's fine. It would be really weird because the Young Bucks have been talking about, look at us, we're like this living example that you can make it on the indies. And suddenly they show up in WWE. That would just, surreal and weird all at the same time. If they want to do a Bullet Club, make your own. They got the talent.
Yeah. To me, honestly, they keep having them show up together when they show up in limos and stuff like that. Wait till you get to the main roster. Bullet Club with Neville, Cesaro, and Balor. My God, I'm good with that.
The internet might die. Like, the whole IWC will collectively have a heart attack and die.
Yeah, I think so. But,
and maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, they keep having them show up together in a bunch of segments. They had them come out all in the same limo. They had them all be grouped together when he won the title. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's all because they're all from Europe and whatever. But just that they all have a common theme makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and it would be exciting, like Paul said. One, not only it makes the most sense. If you add any more to that, it just becomes it's just a total different animal, and I like the idea of making it very limited. So,
to me, I think the Young Bucks are one thing, but it will be really surreal to me if, say, Carl Anderson shows up. That's when I'll be freaking out.
Yeah, or Tama Tonga and Bad Luck Fale. Talk about big. I don't know if Fale would be a steal, but Tama Tonga. That's a steal. I think. I think the guy's very talented.
Yeah, certainly someone that would be really cool to see show up because he's still not doing a whole lot in New Japan or whatever. So definitely, and he would fit in with the face paint and all that if he came in with that.
He's got the WWE pedigree too, Haku and all that.
Yeah.
It's there.
Certainly could do more than his brother.
Yes.
Who we'll talk about on another show.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, it is time for us to move on to our next segment. It is a segment we like to call Championship Shows, and that's a question mark at the end. So we'll be right back with that, and of course, don't forget, once again, we have some Ring of Honor and TNA stuff that you're not going to want to miss. We'll be right back.
Well, I didn't have music.
Oh, I forgot. I'm so used to having a musical cue that I just blanked on that, but thank you, Sean. Let's go ahead and talk about this, and, we don't have to have a break in between. What is interesting is we do have, some ratings from Ring of Honor and TNA and post some of their championship-type shows. And, of course, we have Night of Champions coming up very, very soon, right around that corner. And all these shows have to do something with titles. And, of course, the Night of Champions and what we're seeing at Ring of Honor, all the titles up for grabs. And, we get a chance to see usually a pretty good card most of the time, an exciting one at that. So,
well, in ROH's, they had two big championship matches and the rating went down. By, I think, 6,000 or something like that. TNA's went back up. But, they only had the tag titles on the line or whatever. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Raw because, their third hour barely hit 3 million at that point. But I think that's when, and that's what's weird is because that's when the college game had kind of started to get out of hand at that point. But, it's also Labor Day. So maybe by that point the people had kind of tuned out. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week when, like you said, Raw has 2 titles being defended on their show. Obviously not the 2 major titles, but it's still 2 titles being defended. It's still 2 matches that you're kind of building to next week so you can build to Night of Champions, which in a way, especially the tag team one, is classic, wrestling booking of we're going to give away the finish, but we're going to do it anyway. But do you think that these big champions shows, when you have a bunch of titles to defend on a show, we've seen it before with TNA where the bell-to-bell thing did not do well in the ratings either. Do you think that they're kind of overrated now? Like fans just don't see it as a big deal anymore to have a bunch of championships defended on TV shows?
I think it depends on the promotion. I think for ROH it's a bigger deal just because you don't always get titled like the big titles on there, the tag titles or the world title. I think the reason their ratings are shifting is because of the time slot move. I think that's having more an effect on them than anything they're doing on TV. Granted, their television hasn't been must watch these last couple of weeks too, but that's a whole nother story. I think I don't know if Night of Champions has ever done big business for WWE because it's most cards for WWE when it comes to pay-per-views have championship matches on them. It's not, it's not like the once a year, every belt's on the line. It's, it is what it is. I won't say they lost their luster. I will say that I don't know if how do I want to put this? I don't know if the fan interest in just the show being about titles is there anymore. I don't know if that's enough of a gimmick. Which might say something to how titles are treated in wrestling these days.
Yeah, Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I think these shows are, exciting. I think that people, kind of get up to see, these big matchups and get a chance to see the titles on the line. Because, with WWE alone, there's not a whole lot of title changes, and that's because they don't really put the title up for grabs most of the time. They usually kind of hold it and, make it something special, even if it is on a Raw. And these other shows, I'm kind of surprised with the Ring of Honor rating. I kind of thought, well, with some big shows coming on, they're going to definitely have a lot of people there, and they just didn't have it this time. And that's the way business works sometimes. But overall, I think, there's a draw to these shows, and that draw is the fact that you got all the titles on the line, and everybody's excited about seeing, what's going to happen. And so I'm pretty up on them, but, it doesn't mean the proof's in the pudding because, what we got out of Ring of Honor doesn't show good.
Yeah, and you said we're going to see this. We're going to see this with ROH's pay-per-view that's happening that same weekend with, Red Dragon basically going for both the belts that Lethal has. They're expecting that to be a big draw for them. I do wonder, because you see this where, ROH obviously is treating their belts with respect right now. Having Lethal's had that, television title for God knows how long now. And, he just beat Jay Briscoe for the world title, and he's been defending it and just defended it again against Roddy, even though you had the finish that you got with, people getting involved and stuff. But that's kind of what happens with the House of Truth. But do you think it just maybe has to do with who's champion too? With if it's a heel, people aren't expecting it to end they're expecting it to end a certain way, so they don't really think there might be a title change, so they don't watch, or that it's going to be kind of the same thing they've seen already. Like we already saw Roddy and Lethal, so maybe that wasn't a big draw to people. Does it matter who's in the matchup, I guess?
Because I think Lethal and Roddy had enough story around it to where you could get people to tune into that. I think there is something to say of title matches on TV where 8 times out of 10, that title ain't changing hands. So what's the point, almost, you know? And you know, obviously, when it comes to Ring of Honor, you're watching more for a match quality perspective than you are for whatever else. But I think you're onto something there with the titles being on TV. Maybe just, you know, more times than not, it's not changing hands. So why really tune in when you can just catch it on demand or anything like that nowadays?
So, like, you know, let's use stuff from, you know, because obviously in the past, you know, you had the Clash of Champions shows, you had other shows that were about, you know, making the championships seem important. You wanted to see those titles defended or whatever. What can they use, like, let's say from the past, that might have worked back then that they can use now to say, make it feel like it's a bigger deal, like you really want to see this when you're watching a Raw or whatever? Obviously, you know, they missed the boat big time with the Divas. That obviously could have been done better for the Charlotte and Nikki thing to feel much bigger. The Primetime Players and New Day thing seems rushed because they're trying to get to the Dudley Boys and Night of Champions. But at least ROH has done well in building, you know, Red Dragon going for those belts.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some? I mean, obviously they used to have months and months of build time for these things. Is that something they could do? Like, when you know you're going to do this match and you want to do it on a Raw, you want to do it on your show, you take the time out to build it, right? Uh-oh.
Hello?
Well, that was weird.
Yeah,
It sounded like somebody dropped and then nobody dropped. I don't know what happened.
Skype like freaked out on me there for a second.
Did you hear my question?
I did. So back when you bring up Clash of the Champions, in WCW, the U.S. title used to mean you were close to getting that challenge to the World Heavyweight title. And I think even at sometimes the Clash of the Champions, the original point was supposed to be the U.S. champion would face the World Heavyweight champion for the World Heavyweight title. Something along those lines. I know they also used to have multiple tag titles, multiple world titles too, way back. So, and those were just TV specials. They weren't like pay-per-views or anything like that. You know, because Turner was totally on their side and all that. So maybe you have something like that. Even though you already have Money in the Bank, maybe you refocus a title towards that direction. Maybe I don't like. Obviously, build helps a lot. And as you said, WWE did no favors for a lot of the stuff they have going on. So I don't know, like, there's a combination of things they could probably do. Build, maybe, I don't know if you want to gimmick another title, but I think that is an option you could do, obviously.
What do you think, Gary? Gary? Uh-oh.
I don't know
I'm
if Gary's
here.
back yet.
I'm
Okay.
here. Yeah, sorry. I had my deal on mute, I guess. I didn't hear your entire question, though, Sean. It kind of cut out on me.
What do you think about, like, stuff from the past that they used to do? Because obviously these things have lasted a long time. Look at, Clash of Champions and all that. That is it all about the way you build it? That you could take months to do these things. Obviously New Japan is still using some of these. I mean, they've obviously had a big old tournament to use to build that to the stuff they're having now. But we're still having, Nakamura and Goto again. So it's one of these things where, is it all about how you present it to the people? Had they spent months on, say, a Charlotte and Nikki thing, and you start building it little by little, whatever, would it feel like much of a bigger deal than, say, doing this rushed 1 week thing? And maybe you've had the New Day and Primetime Players for a while, but now, and they've kind of been building to that, but you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not Primetime Players. They're obviously there as a vehicle to put something in front of the New Day to make it seem like they're going to lose, but they're not, because they're going to get the Dudley Boys at Night of Champions, because there's no way they're going to do Dudley Boys against Primetime Players. You didn't. I don't think I even let you answer the other one. Do you think it really matters if you know the title's not going to change hands? Are you not going to watch it, or as a wrestling fan, are you still interested?
From my perspective, it's a must. But if casually, I think it's a lot harder to watch with the outcome being pretty much written on the wall. I don't see it being that motivating. I think most people kind of figure out the game and they kind of know what's going to be the outcome. So I definitely think it is a hard sell to get a fan or anybody to watch it. The hardcore fans are going to might watch no matter what, but those casual fans or even the fans that are semi-hardcore who really like it, but just, if they're not sold on something or if they feel like they can skip something, they'll just miss it and not have to watch it. So it is a harder sell if you ask me. And I think, you touched on taking time, and Paul did too, to build a case for each guy or gal and, getting that, whatever it is, a tournament or building towards a pay-per-view or a title shot. The more time you spend on it, the more time you invest in the story and, of course, in the matches. I think it's always going to come out with a better outcome and result. I feel like, anything rushed, it really doesn't work unless it's just a one-night only match or something like that. Besides that, if you really want to get people hyped up, you've got to take your time and build the story. So I think that's the truth.
And I think the perfect example is the Takeover shows.
Mm-hmm.
They are glorified, pretty much, champion shows. Like, a lot of times, all the titles are defended. We're probably going to get the same case again, I'm sure, with... I'm pretty sure we are. We already know the tag titles are going to be defended, and we know the women's title, and I'm sure the NXT main title is going to be defended. So you're having everything defended there, and the reason why it feels so important and so cool is, for one, you don't have it every month, and number two, they build to them so well. It's the slow build. All these things either have had previous months of build from other matches, or you're having a tournament, or you're having this thing develop in the tournament that's going to turn into a match or whatever. So, and I mean, again, that's also old school thinking. So maybe, you have to just have the investment in the characters, I guess, too, and then also provide that feeling of, okay, I've got to watch this now because I've seen this build and whatever. It's like, I wonder why WWE doesn't go back to that sometimes, of understanding that, look at what you do with Brock every time he's doing something, right? It feels big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they built SummerSlam in 1 week. Why? Because that brawl was awesome. Right? So I feel like it's lacking a lot with the rest of the things. So you don't... It makes you feel like, why am I going to watch it if they've only given us a week to think about whether we need to spend our 3 hours on that or our 3 hours on something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I understand that. And, it's a slippery slope. And I just think that they try to build these shows the best they can and try to get people interested. But, each promotion handles them differently. Each group of, talent handle the matches differently in the build-up. So, nothing's all alike. There's a lot of similarities, but nothing's exactly alike. And so it just depends on what those factors are. But I think that, the time that they take is very, very valuable. They don't need to forget that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's really going to top investing in a story. No frilly gimmick, no, hey, this belt will get you to this belt, nothing like that. If you invest in the story, people will watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you build it, they will come, or they'll watch. One of the two. So, well, guys,
the dream said it best.
Yeah,
it's true.
Is there any other questions you had, Sean, before we move on?
I mean, I don't want to go in circles, so we might as well just
go ahead.
there. But
fair enough.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and definitely, and everybody, this leads up to next week when we do our previews for Night of Champions, and of course, we'll be covering the ROH show. What is
All-Star
the
Extravaganza 7?
There you go, right there, guys. So we'll be previewing those next
hey,
week.
you know, you can also chime in if you feel like you have something else to say that we didn't say. You know, you can hit us up on Twitter at Wrestling2Max. You can, if you're on the Facebook group, you can say something about it there, or you know, you can email us wrestlingthemax@gmail.com and then give us your opinion on do championship shows still draw.
Exactly. And hey, and if you want to yell at us, we also have a phone number you can call and leave a voicemail. That's right, it's 972-591-8620. Almost forgot it. Remember, that number is 972-591-8620. And call us and leave good messages. Yeah, I know, man. Everything is a shill here, but here we go. We're not trying to be that way, but we've got a lot of info to give you guys. Let's go ahead and move on, though, guys. We have a big show to talk about. That's right, Ring of Honor, where we do have 2 championship matches on the card. We'll be right back with that. Take it away, Paul.
All right, so as it's been said, words. Championship edition of Ring of Honor Television. We open Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles on the line. The Addiction, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian defend those titles against Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Pretty spectacular 13-minute match here. Super Kick Party was out in full force. Saban's eating super kicks. Daniels was eating super kicks. Kazarian's eating. Fans might as well have been eating super kicks. The Addiction do retain. There's some shenanigans here. It's a good time. It's a really good time.
Then Nigel comes out and announces that they're going to have a triple threat at All-Star Extravaganza 7 too, just to, I guess, do the whole bait and switch. Like, we're going to restart the match. Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I think, you know, with the Addiction, you kind of knew you're going to have some shenanigans happening. I thought, you know, we got a ton of stuff from the Young Bucks as usual. Some fun stuff from the Addiction, too. I mean, I think kind of Paul covered it all there. This was just really fun. Again, with the Young Bucks, you just need to sit back and just watch it. There's no point of like sitting here trying to go through everything, because sometimes it just happens so fast. You're like, what just happened now? Oh damn, okay, that happened. And of course, every time you hear Carino freaking yell super kick, it's like, oh, that's a party by itself.
Yeah. It is, but you know, this whole match was a party. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to watch, and of course, both these tag teams are brilliant. I'm a big fan of the Addiction, and of course, the Young Bucks are just amazing at what they do. You know, not enough suckets this time, but that's okay. You go from there being too many suckets to there wasn't enough. Exactly. They just calmed down on ROH. I don't know if they have a deal with ROH. They don't do it enough or what, but this time, not enough of that. So we'll have to kind of add a few in next time.
I think Gary's just a hard man to please, Sean.
Yeah, he's...
Yeah,
man.
Yes, don't, yeah, very much so. So, there you go.
I wasn't going to mention a hard grader. Now we know he's just a hard man to please, period.
It's true.
Just ask my wife, so there you go.
Oh, man.
I kid.
I feel bad for her.
Yeah. Poor man.
Hey. I'm the one you're supposed to be having sympathy for. Come on.
it's like Rusev and Dolph, Gary. You made yourself the heel in this situation.
Oh, no. Call me Ruru.
Oh, man. All right, main event time. ROH World Title on the line. Rematch. Roderick Strong taking on Jay Lethal. Dueling chance to start us out. They go back and forth. It feels a lot like their time limit draw. Once again, we get some shenanigans here that ends up with Lethal retaining the title. And then we have Red Dragon come out to stare Lethal down after the match. But pretty amazing wrestling to as we work our way to the finish.
Yeah, great match. Certainly something I would go out of my way to watch. You know, you're going to have shenanigans again. House of Truth, it's what they do. Roddy kind of getting to overcome is kind of what he's gotten to do with this feud as well. So, you know, the stuff with the Kingdom, though, I could have just done completely without. That was like that extra sauce added on top that just ruined it a little bit for me. Like, now I have to scrape it all off to finally get the taste out of it.
Yeah, I agree a whole lot. I mean, this match itself is a blast. I mean, once again, I mean, it's hard enough to have a great match sometimes in one show, but to have two that just get you on your feet, get you excited. I mean, this is a really wonderful match. But Sean's right. The extra stuff just kind of it doesn't leave the best taste in your mouth.
I mean, that's fair points. There's been a lot of interference booking on Ring of Honor television recently, which kind of... It's not what the promotion is built around, but it's certainly they're trying to build up these feuds some, which is fair. But you know, to each his own. There's some great wrestling. I totally recommend this episode to anybody. And that's your Ring of Honor.
Awesome. So, yeah, I definitely think Paul's right on that. You need to go watch this episode of Ring of Honor. If you're usually, you know, a little iffy on if you want to watch it, trust us, go check this one out for sure. So, all right, well, we are going to move on now, and we are going to go into some TNA talk, and we, you know, are going to give some of the things we promised to you. So we'll be right back with that.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
All right, so here we go. We are going to go ahead and jump into this question or this big surprise before Sean reviews the show. Apparently, TNA is... Yeah, Sean. While you hear Sean in the background, he'll be right back. He's doing something. His mic's up, of course. But you know, we're gonna have to talk about the tease at this big name, that may be returning, and so I just don't know who it is yet. Yeah, I know we may have teased you a long time to find out we don't know who it is, but that's okay because we think we might have a few ideas, and hear us out. One of the ideas floating around is Hulk Hogan. No, that's not a promise or anything, but that's a thought because TNA, they need the ratings. They need people to pay attention to them, and Hulk Hogan's name is synonymous in the media right now, and getting him on the rosters definitely gets you that media attention. But what do you guys think? Do you think Hulk Hogan? Do you have any other ideas of who this could be?
Hulk Hogan's the name I've heard floated around a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Kurt Angle coming back to TV before his contract is out. Honest to God,
TNA already announced that he was coming back.
Did they?
I haven't heard either. Have you?
Yeah, they announced that he's going to show up. He's going to do the house shows before Bound for Glory, and then he's going to be at Bound for Glory. But maybe he was the guy. I mean, if that was your announcement, I think they were saying a former talent is what has been said.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the one that would make me sit up and take notice would be AJ Styles.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I don't think you're doing a one-shot with AJ. I mean, that's cool and all, but don't do... to me, it has to be... I mean, maybe they do, but again, it's just one of those things like... If I'm ROH, I'm getting upset. Like, because now you've done stuff, you're letting talent go to, you let, Liger go to WWE, you're going to let AJ go back to TNA and help them. I mean, it's just, I think it's a little bit much. I don't see how anybody gains anything other than TNA from this. I can't imagine TNA has the money to throw at AJ. If AJ didn't want to come for a Hall of Fame induction, I can't imagine he's going to come for this GFW angle of stupidness. So,
what about Austin Aries? I mean, I know we went to ROH, but we haven't seen him really in Ring of Honor. So, is there a possibility that things have changed?
And he like just left too, so
Yeah,
that's total TNA though.
Yeah, that is total TNA.
You know what? It could just be James Storm again.
Oh, God save me, no.
Ooh, maybe Gunner and James Storm.
Oh well, you know, Gunner keeps kicking people in the crowd.
Gag unto me with a spoon.
Wait, Sean, hold on a second. Kicking people in the crowd. I didn't know. Is he the Pittsburgh's tight end coach now?
I guess.
I just making sure I count that correct. Okay. But no, I mean, seriously, this is interesting. I mean, we are speculating, and if Kurt Angle is the name, and maybe they revealed that or something else.
I'll tell you what, if it's Hulk Hogan, if I'm Destination America, I'm hitting the cancel button that moment. Like, how can you let this guy on your TV after he's still got the problems with the racist remarks? But like he just lied about his town being racist. That was his whole deal about why he was racist. I mean, God,
I know it's ridiculous. It really is, and you know, Hulk Hogan just doesn't have any biz being in TNA. I just hope it doesn't do that.
You know, the next thing I wouldn't be surprised is if like they just go, "Hey, Hulk Hogan, we're going to put you in the TNA Hall of Fame too." Like, just come on.
Surprised he's not already there. So, anyway, well, I think that's, you know, speculation enough. You know, we'll have to find out who it is. But, you know, once again, you know, if you got an idea who it is, you drop us a line on our Facebook page and let us know. So, all right, Sean, we got a review.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a angry Brandon who I forgot about him during Raw. So.
Uh-oh.
It's whatever. It made the show go by a lot faster. So, you know, no offense, Glenn, but you know, we had to talk to you for like 30 minutes, so we had to find a way to get this thing moving along after you were on. You know, Brandon got to be on the F2F show, and I'm sure he'll call in on Sunday when the Giants play Cowboys. So
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. But yeah, on this show, which has EC3 telling us that he doesn't give a flying crap about the invasion because he cares about staying TNA champion, and now that he's retained the belt, he now gets to humiliate Jeffrey Nero Carter. Or not Carter, Hardy. I don't know why. Yeah. But Jeff gets to start his duties as his slave by holding up a giant EC3 head on a stick. And has to read a written announcement basically saying that EC3 is awesome or whatever. But this was great. And then the way EC3 like basically undersold the match that he had to have with him and Tyrus against Matt Hardy and Rockstar Spud was great too. What'd you think?
So what I'm going to take you guys behind the scene there, all right? So me and my good personal friend EC3 are in the back of the limo, right? We're driving around town, and EC3 asked me about this TNA JFW war. I'm like, dude, I don't care about it. He's like, dude, me neither. So I brought up the idea that maybe we should just have Jeff hold up the giant EC3 head on a stick thing. So I took a nice big blown up picture of EC3's head, and I just, you know, I made that. That was my personal touch, and I really want to thank EC3 for bringing that to the arena with him. He's just, you know, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He gets a bad rap.
Yeah. It just shows you, Paul. He thinks a lot of you.
You know, I really appreciate it too. Yeah, I think a lot of him.
Yeah, just as long as it's not in the shower. But you know,
man, come
on. You know, I just think
I'm
about.
I'm sure EC3 glistens too. But
I'm sure he does. But
what, did you want to find out, Gary, or something? You sounded pretty excited about that.
Yeah, never know. But you know what? Never close doors, Sean. Never close doors.
No more locked doors for Gary.
Hopefully there's a nice open door when... Well, I won't say that when TNA goes up.
No.
Anything. But anyway, long story short, I think this is great. It's just about what EC3 is, and he's just fun. He's talented, and just the way he handles his business in the ring. When not talking wrestling wise, I'm talking about on the mic and just going about his business with this whole Jeff Hardy thing. I love every minute of it. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it never gets tiresome.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it's absolutely true. TNA might be having its last breaths, but the last thing that's keeping this thing alive is EC3's run right now. He is the reason you should be watching.
Yeah, and the match wasn't too bad, but it wasn't anything great either.
I mean, it's an angle advancement match. I think it is what it needed to be.
So after this, we get a Wolves promo. We get Taryn being upset at Velvet Sky. She's so tired of Velvet Sky. And she wants the dollhouse, including Rebel, to go take out the beautiful people. So they get Madison Rayne in what looks to be behind some bleachers, like they were back in high school. And they start attacking Madison Rayne. Then all of a sudden, Velvet Sky and Angelina Love show up. I thought Angelina Love was pregnant, but maybe this was before she found out she was pregnant or something. I don't know. I guess it had to be. But so then all of a sudden, Angelina gets taken out by a chair shot, and that's the end of that. I mean, quite a stark difference from what we're seeing now on Raw to what we're seeing on TNA. Like, we get Josh referring to it, or was it Pope referring it to, like, oh, Wildcats brawling. Like, I think we've gone backwards in TNA now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I enjoyed the renewed ferocity of the dollhouse, which I'll take what I can get from out of this. Plus, we don't have to see Angelina Love for a while. I call that a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The dollhouse getting a little bit more oomph. They need it. They definitely do after what they've had to deal with. I guess the beautiful people thing just is very, very short-lived. So.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they tried, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did.
Yeah.
Speaking of trying, I think they could have tried all they wanted, but anytime I have to hear Karen Jarrett talk, and
yeah,
oh man, this segment with Jeff Jarrett and Bobby Roode, Jeff Jarrett calling himself still the King of the Mountain, and Karen's like, no, Jeff, you don't want to wrestle Bobby Roode, and Bobby Roode, you don't want to wrestle Jeff, because you need to be trying to get your spot when GFW takes control next week, or whatever. Whatever. We also are going to get a 6-man with Eli Drake, Jesse, and Kenny King, who are all in feuds with Robbie E, Micah, and Tigre Uno later as they brawled here. But yeah, I don't know about this segment.
I don't know what the point of the promo was, other than, hey man, you know how fast we're going through this whole feud? Really fast. Okay, we're done.
Yeah. It's like, how fast can we get this done?
It was a total waste of 10 minutes.
Yes.
You're exactly right. It's like, okay, Bobby Roode needs to be involved in this somehow. Let's make him a part of it. And you just could have said something like, hey, Bobby Roode, what do you think about this thing? And he could have went and talked about it. I think that's way more entertaining than having him with Karen Jarrett in the ring. Me personally, a backstage segment would have done this just fine.
Speaking of just fine, I think that's what this 6-man tag was. But what do you guys think?
I don't know if I'm a giant fan of how this match came together. Like Galloway just, hey, these guys will fight for TNA when you guys are over here being dumb. Match. Okay. The match isn't anything special. It's just fine though. It is a large indictment though of how just the X Division, which used to be TNA's bread and butter, is now nothing but a sideshow that nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I definitely do, and it's it's one of those things where they like to use these multi-man matches, and WWE's not innocent of this either, but they use these to get away with things, and it doesn't really build anything. It just makes it a jumble, and so I don't know. I wasn't sold on it either.
Well, TNA beat WWE to the punch with having their women's title and tag titles defended on the same show. Brooke and Gail Kim had a match, and also Trevor Lee and Brian Myers defended the TNA tag belts against the Wolves again. The Wolves won again thanks to chicanery, and also there was a bunch of crap that happened in the Knockouts match as well. Just a whole lot of people getting involved.
Yeah, the Knockouts title has Lady Tapa and Awesome Kong getting involved, which pretty much forces a four-way at some point, I'm assuming. It's kind of meh, to be honest with you. I enjoyed the tag team title match, though. Very, very well worked. Trevor Lee and Brian Myers, I think, are a nice breath of fresh air as far as wrestling goes in TNA. Just because you're not getting the same thing you usually get as you do from everybody else week in and week out. That being said, they have a really good match here with the Wolves. I'm okay with the finish. It sort of plays into everything that's been happening in this super fast invasion angle. So I think this is good business all the way around.
Yeah, it has to happen, because of just what Paul said. With the feud going very, very quickly, you've got to have the American Wolves get their belts back and a fun match getting it back. So I was not in a bad situation when I watched this. I actually felt pretty good about this match. And of course, when you talk about the Knockouts title, I actually am excited about this. I know Paul doesn't seem to be high on it, but I love the battle of Kong and Tapa. I think it's a little bit more fun than we usually get to see because it's two big, strong women, and it's not what we usually see as two big, strong men. So it's kind of cool.
All right. All for the strength. There you go.
Yep.
Well, I could certainly have done without this. Chris Melendez does his usual speech. Look, you know what?
Yeah.
It's not. It just 9/11 just happened. I don't want to disrespect or anything. I will never forget where I was on that day. I think neither any of us will. Again, no disrespect to any of the people that have ever fought for our country, but at some point, you have to start judging this guy as a wrestler. We can't keep, putting that in perspective. This feud sucks. It's terrible. They're fighting over the man's leg.
Nailed it in one, Sean.
Yeah, nothing really needs to be said about it. You said it all right there.
Just a total waste of time on TNA, but whatever. I mean, so we are going to get Mahabali Shera against James Storm for next week.
God save me.
That four-way for the women's title or Knockouts titles happening next week, as well as that Lethal Lockdown TNA versus GFW, which I'm pretty sure you can guess who's going to win.
I don't know. It's a good question. Chikara?
Yes. Chikara wins. That is the only logical way this thing could end.
I just would love it,
Somebody from Chikara is going to come in and start showing their video game that's on Steam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, TNA wins. Yeah, they've got to, and so, yeah.
And of course, they got to do the very traditional. Look, it's traditional, but doesn't mean you always got to do it. Putting the odds against TNA Mordeski winning the Lumberjack match so that GFW has the advantage at Lethal Lockdown. Same thing they've done at every single freaking Lethal Lockdown I think they've ever had. But, you know, what do you guys feel about the end of the show here?
Pretty average match. Kind of, I won't say predictable ending, but it's just, you knew where this was going to go, right? You knew GFW's going to get the advantage here to make it look like TNA's in trouble, and bada. It's a fine match. There's just nothing special going on here.
Agreed about the match, and you know, Eric Young being the guy that, you know, is the turning point in this match and is the one that gets all slap nuts. I think that, you know, I just like saying slap nuts. But, you know, I think it's, you know, it's a point that we're seeing is that they're trying to emphasize Eric Young as this worst heel, a guy that's just so bad and all this. And, I mean, he does an okay job at it, but we go from him holding the guy's leg to, you know, turning on his company. So I just think it's kind of funny how they kind of double booked him on that night. They should have just left the other part alone and just have him be the guy that, you know, hurts TNA.
Yeah, it's like, and then at the end too, it's just like, really? Like, we're just gonna, God. Like, so we've had Eric Young have nothing to do with this whole thing the whole time. And then, oh, swerve, Eric Young is part of this angle now. Like, oh, what? Just, oh. Come on now. Just, you made me care about it even less with Eric Young involved. Thanks.
Oh, I know. It's just, it gets tiresome. It really does, you know. So, who knows? But we got to rate this thing. What do you guys think?
The tag title match was good. EC3 is amazing. I think that's enough. I didn't like this as much as I liked Raw, which I gave 5.5. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Sean?
I don't think it warrants a 4.5 either. I'm going to say, I guess, equal to Raw at 5.
Why don't we make it a hat trick? I get 5 as well. You know, below average still for me. You know, so there you go, guys. That is TNA Impact. You know, of course, next week we'll have more info, and of course, you'll get a chance to see the battle of TNA and GFW conclude right there on that episode. Well, guys, we got one last thing to do on the show, and that is crown a Superstar of the Week. And also, we have a Superstar of the Month to talk about. All that's coming up next.
And Match of the Month, too.
Superstar of the Week.
Gary, you got to tell people why this match of the month is cool.
This match of the month is cool because all you guys voted on it, and you all got to decide who won match of the month. And you guys decided that Sasha Banks and Bayley, their match at TakeOver, was the winner. So that is your superstar match of the month, if you want to call it that, or just match of the month. But it's exciting, and I think this was a great one. What do you guys think about the popular decision here?
Certainly not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. And I know a lot of the guys in our Facebook group usually are more prone to watch WWE just because that's what they have access to, and that's totally fine. I picked Shinsuke Nakamura and Hiroshi Tanahashi's G1 final match. It was phenomenal. I went back and watched that specifically. If you haven't watched that, totally go watch it. It is amazing. It's half an hour, but it's totally worth your time.
Yeah, I mean, let's not be silly here. Sasha Banks and Bayley was definitely great in its own right. It was excellent. It had everything you want. I mentioned many times here, had me crying at the end. Great stuff. But, you know, I think when we're thinking about, you know, to add I don't like using this unless I'm writing a review, but to add a difference for it, you got Tanahashi and Nakamura having quite possibly the best G1 final match there's ever been. instant classic, where I think you're definitely talking about an excellent match with the best WWE women's match that's ever been, but there's not a big selection there. I think if you're separating it, I'd say 4.5 stars for the Sasha and Bayley, 5 stars automatic for Tanahashi and Nakamura. But again, it's like what Paul said. It's only by one vote, to be honest here, that Bayley and Sasha won. It was close, but I think when you're thinking about the grand event that it was and everything, and it totally delivered and more, Tanahashi Nakamura for me. Did you have a certain one there, Gary, or are you going to agree with us?
I think that, that you guys are completely right on this as well. I think, for me, this is hard, very hard. And, of course, you said one vote decided the group's, superstar match of the month. So it's tough. It is really tough. But, I think I am going to lean towards what you guys were saying, because I think that was just a wonderful match. And it just still sticks in my mind, despite the fact that, even this Bayley and Sasha Banks one does too. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with you guys on this one.
Just to throw out the other the other ones that were there, I think Brandon and Glenn had both voted for the NXT title ladder match that took place at TakeOver, which was still a very good match in its own right too. The Rollins versus Neville match from Raw was listed was one of the bigger ones. Styles versus Tanahashi, I think, was on the final board as well, voted for. So, out of the shows that we cover on here regularly, I think we had a good selection. I thought the guys did a pretty good job of picking some of the better ones from that month.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you, and we're going to be doing that every month from now on. You guys will get it. We'll get to do what we're doing right now, picking our individual ones, but you guys will get to pick the representative match of the month for the show.
Definitely. So, well, why don't we go ahead and kick off our regular this week's Superstar of the Week. So let's go ahead and start with you, Paul.
All right, Superstar of the Week. Number 5, I got Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Excellent tag team match on NXT this week. Number 4, I gave to the Wolves. Another excellent tag team match, but they also have the benefit of winning their titles back. Number 3, I gave to The Addiction for successfully retaining their titles in another wonderful tag team match. Not a lot of tag teams. And then number 2 and 1, I gave to Jay Lethal, Roderick Strong, with Jay Lethal being my number 1 for retaining the title, but also just probably the best match on television this week.
All right, and John?
I have whatever your list is.
Okay, well, my list is number 5 is Sting. I thought he did a great job this week entertaining the fans. Number 4 is Finn Balor and Samoa Joe and their tag team efforts, and they did a great job winning that match. Number 3 has to go to the American Wolves for winning their tag titles back. Congratulations to those guys. Number 2 has to go to the Addiction for retaining their titles after a great match. And number 1 for me is Jay Lethal and his retaining of his title. So I think it's so great to see all these championship matches, and a lot of these people we're talking about had championship matches. So it is great stuff. Definitely have to say props to Jay Lethal for winning Superstar of the Week for us this week. So awesome. But we have one last thing we need to talk about, and that is the fact that we have to crown a Superstar of the Month. So each of us have kind of decided our choices. Paul, what was your choice for Superstar of the Month?
Man, this is a really tough decision. I mean, obviously, you could go with Tanahashi winning the G1. Also, a string of spectacular matches last month. I think you say the same thing for Jay Lethal. You could put Bayley and Seth Rollins in that conversation, too. Bayley was tearing it up on NXT on the road to winning that title. And I think Seth Rollins has been doing a really amazing job on Raw this past month. All things considered, though, I think you got to give it to Tanahashi. The G1 Climax win is no small potatoes. Not to mention, I think he was in 4 of the matches I sent to Sean when we were making our list for the month matches up for vote this month, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul hit it right on the head. I mean, Tanahashi he ruled when it came to those last matches. I mean, you could throw your hat in there for AJ or Nakamura was hitting it there at the end too. Michael Elgin as well, Okada. And that whole G1 towards the end was really nailing it. But I mean, Tanahashi won the thing, so that counts big time. He now will defend his case pretty soon here in a show that will be 2 shows that we'll be reviewing. But I think Tanahashi has to win it, and no slouch to Bailey or Rollins or Lethal or any other ones that could have been in consideration here. Just that's such a big accomplishment. I mean,
yeah, for sure. And even without my vote, we have our superstar of the month right there, Tanahashi. But my reasoning for picking him is because that tournament is so big. And the G1 tournament is extravagant, and it's a blast to watch. And just the matches that he put on throughout the tournament, throughout the month, and of course winning it all, it just means so much. And so that's why I gave it to him. All the rest of the people that these guys just mentioned definitely deserve it. But I just think that he's got to be the forefront of it all. So there you go, guys. But that's a lot of fun. And, of course, watch out every month. We're going to be doing this. At the end of the month, we are going to be crowning a superstar of the month and, of course, a match of the month. So be checking that out. And, of course, make sure you vote. And you can only do that on our Wrestling to the Max page on Facebook, our group. It's going to be
I'm going to branch it out to Twitter, and you can send us, we'll announce when we're doing it, and you can send us to it through email too. But the easiest way to do it is to go on the group, because we just have a poll that's there. And you can just click a button and you vote for the match, and then whoever wins goes on to the next round, and it's whatever. With Twitter, I have to go make the poll. I have to send it to you. I have to hope everybody sees it or whatever. The email, you're having to send me in the match, and it's cool, just go to the Facebook group. I know the thing is, I know not everybody likes Facebook, so that's why I think it's nicer to branch it out to more people. But still, going to promote this again, not just because we always want more people to join the Facebook group, but it's the easiest way. The poll is there. You press a button, your vote is counted, and all I have to do is just look at the votes and see who won.
Yeah, there you go. So we encourage everybody to go do that. And join, be a part of this. It's a blast, and we want to hear your opinions. This is about what you like and what we like as well, so it's a lot of fun.
Speaking of voting, I think before we get out of here, I want to announce on the podcast, because I know, again, that not everybody that listens to us is on the Facebook group. There are people that listen to us, just from just listening, and they don't interact or whatever with us in one way or another, or there's people that just interact with me on Twitter or whatnot. But we're going to start it's probably going to be sometime next month. We're going to start doing this. We might push one into this month. I don't know yet. We've got to figure out, with all these shows that are coming up, if we're going to have time to do one. But we kind of decided to bring back an old segment that we did for a little while called What Did We Watch This Month? But we're going to put a little twist on it. We're going to do this twice a month. Like I said, because we're already kind of in the middle of September, we might do one. We might just wait till October. But we're going to let you guys pick one. We're going to have a theme based around it. We haven't thought of the theme. Me and Gary were kind of playing around with what could be the theme for October. We'll kind of get Paul's thoughts on it and see if we can come up with something. But there'll be a theme based around it. We'll give you a set of shows. They'll be from, whether it's something old from WWE or something from TNA or ROH, or it could be an indie show that you guys have never heard of. If it fits the theme, maybe something Paul has in his vault there that he can bring out or whatever. It could be a Japan show, whatever. It doesn't have to be New Japan either. It could be whatever. So we're going to give you guys the ability. We're going to narrow down the list. We're going to give it to you, and I'm going to put out a poll. You guys can vote, and then we're going to choose when we do it. We might announce it to you when we're going to do the show. That moment, you're going to find out we're doing it or not. But we're not going to announce beforehand, hey, next week we're doing this. We want to kind of make it a surprise for everybody to know, hey, we're doing your show that you guys picked right now. Go listen to it. And then we'll do the other show. We'll pick it, and maybe you'll get interested and enjoy it, and and you guys are welcome to help us pick themes and stuff too. So we're leaving this open to everybody to help us with this thing. Hopefully we can make it something you enjoy and we can keep doing it.
Definitely. Always trying to do things to make sure that you guys, get a chance to be a part of the show, and we want you a part of the show. It's why we offer the phone number to you to call in. It's why we always bring out new ways of you to be able to contact us and just have a good way of sharing the word of whatever you want shared. So there you go, guys. Really quickly, I just want to let everybody know we definitely apologize. We're coming to you a night later than usual, so you're listening to us on Saturday. Or maybe even later during the week. We usually come out on Fridays, and it's just a situation where our sports show had to go earlier than the wrestling show, and we ran a little late. And it was kind of unfair for us to ask our good friend Paul here to stay up all night, especially since he had to get up early. So,
oh man.
Awesome.
Did Scott just knock Gary off right at the end? Oh, that's great. Man, just the icing on the cake there for everything. But, yeah, what Gary was saying, we kind of sorry we came late and everything. But, hey, we're here. We did the show. We did it under 3 hours. That's a first in a long
record.
While now.
Yeah.
But... yeah, so next week we got 2 big previews. The All-Star Extravaganza 7 from ROH is happening that Friday. We'll review it on Sunday along with Night of Champions. That is happening that Sunday. And we'll also have a preview of the first Destruction show, which I can't remember if it's the one in Kobe or if it's the one in Nagoya, but we'll figure it out when we get there. And then that next week... we'll be reviewing the Destruction show, the one on the 23rd, and then we'll have a special for the Destruction show on the 27th. So, it's a lot coming up here for us to do, but we enjoy doing it, and hopefully you do too. I guess I'll have to do this, since apparently Skype just hates Gary tonight. But if you're not living life to the max... you're not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace. That was so weird, me having to do both lines.
It feels empty.
We love you, Gary.